Once you start to try to cover it up, it gets worse. Listen to Candace.
Yeah, she's great.
Listen to Candace. There's going to be a lot of really interesting things that we haven't seen yet.
I have kind of a theory, which might be out there, but you're probably the perfect person to ask this. You want me to
well,
mention
there's enough people that are out there talking about this and offering up different opinions and different theories and different speculative comments. Happy to comment on those.
Okay.
And again, probably leading in, we're on, right?
Yeah.
Probably leading in with, as someone who's been involved in conspiracies before.
Right.
And understands what it takes to have a massive conspiracy with multiple players moving and how tough it is to keep something like that secret and to make it actually work.
Yeah.
I'm a little more skeptical when I think in terms of Occam's razor, the most simple explanation is usually the most right explanation.
Right.
And so in a lot of cases like this, to me, I look at it and I say, well, this is probably the way it looks. It's probably not some hidden hand behind it. But
and so here's I'm gonna start with the Trump thing, even though I know we're really not gonna be talking about that, but you can always put this somewhere else. So here's what I was wondering about, or at least I wanted to mention, is that what was the name of the Trump guy that shot Trump?
Trump shooter.
What's his fucking name?
Isn't that crazy?
Oh yeah, no, listen, they're good. They got.
But we don't even know the guy.
Yeah,
Thomas Crooks.
Crooks. Okay, so Thomas Crooks. So when that first came out, when all that happened, first of all, like his social media, and I don't even know how much of this is true because I get all my information I get from TikTok, so I don't know what's true. But I can't tell you how many times I've sent something to my wife and been like, "Whoa, like, hey, look at this just happened," and she's like, "That's fake news. That didn't happen." And then I look, and sure enough, I'll look it up, and I'm like, "Oh, it is fake news." So
I spend a lot of time responding to things like that, saying just that. Say, hey, here's the 5 things you need to know and how to look through something very quickly to see if it's fake news or not. But go ahead.
Right. Well, a lot of times,
you and everybody else, same way.
I mean, I'm lucky in some ways because at least sometimes something will happen and then they'll say so-and-so was just sentenced to, and I'm like, wait a minute, the guy committed the crime 2 weeks ago. He wasn't sentenced to anything.
Right.
Okay. And in the case of Crook, what happened when it first happened, it was like immediately I had heard that like there was almost like most of his social media had been scrubbed and all this stuff. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it was like, how does he figure out all this? How did he get on the roof? How did he do all these things? And there were multiple attempts on Trump's life, or they had stopped a few of them or whatever. And so what I always thought to myself was going, let's say if you went to
Oswald,
thank you.
I just walked down that site not too long ago. But go ahead.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Lee Harvey?
Yeah.
So the thing about that is where the kind of like the whole, where that was a CIA operation or whatever, all the different rumors around that.
It's Ted Cruz's dad, but go ahead.
Okay, so all the rumors around that, but there are a lot, like they were tracking him, or the FBI, certain agencies were kind of tracking him. They knew where he was, but I was always thinking to myself, like with social media, how hard would it be to, if you said, okay, I want to find someone that maybe we could use as a patsy, or maybe, I mean, assuming that the CIA does these types of operations within the United States, which obviously, that would be whatever against the law. They're not allowed to operate in the United States, whatever, whether they do or don't, whatever.
Certainly never would do that, but go ahead.
So, but if you wanted to do that, if some agency wanted to do this, and I thought, how hard would it be to, one, scrub the internet or go through the internet and see who do we have that is within this age group, 18 to 25, that has posted a bunch of negative, things about Trump. Okay, well, now we have this many people. How many of those people do we know that have weapons or some type of shooting experience? Okay, now we have this many. How many of those people, let's say, are, I don't know, meet certain criterias, are within this age group that live within close proximity to one of his speeches during the campaign speeches? Okay, well, now we have this many. How hard would it be to track that down to say, okay, well, we're down to 120 people now in these areas, how hard is it to swing by there and one day pick that kid up and say, hey, we want you to do something for us. We already know you're of that mindset because we've been reading your posts. We're reading everything that you've got. You're definitely someone who is pushing an agenda of assassination. Mm-hmm. We know that you're a shooter and you were on your high school shooting team, because I think he was a member of some shooting team or had tried out for it several times. We know that your father owns, weapons. We know that you're someone who's familiar with weapons. Like, how hard is it to find that kid, pull him over, help him get to the site, talk to him about, basically indoctrinate him in some way that this is for the good of the country, and then let that kid go and climb up on the roof, whether he actually is able to pull it off or not. You just have another shooter in the vicinity to do that, and then he falls as a patsy. That seems like something that, with the help of the NSA, could be done. Something along those lines, because you have such a wide net now to find people and sift through them and statistically come up with who meets this criteria. And then we never heard anything else about this. This went on for 2-3 weeks. There's some and it just died. And I don't really know anything. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen any documentaries. There's really nothing out there that tells exactly what happened with this kid. Now, if you want to know about the Columbine shooting, I know everything about these fucking lunatic kids, but you know nothing about this kid.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Did I miss something?
Matt, there's so much to unpack there. Not only is what you said possible, it's done all the time. Now, certainly not by the CIA or the NSA or anybody like that, but if we look at what's going on right now, whether it's the Russian GRU or GU as we now call it, Russian military intelligence, if it is the Iranians trying to use proxies and surrogates to conduct attacks in the U.S., if we look back just a few years to ISIS, to Al-Qaeda, what you're describing is this online radicalization process that is absolutely happening. Absolutely happening. And how tough is it to find someone like that? Let's look back at Cambridge Analytica. I'm sure you've ran Facebook ads. You've ran ads online and marketing. You know how you can segment the market and look for. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for that 16 to 25-year-old who likes this, who lives in this proximity, who has this kind of background. And these ad tech firms will deliver you exactly those people that you can communicate directly with. Mm-hmm. That's if you're really sophisticated and you've got money and you know how to use marketing data. If you don't, it's just a matter of going to these, what we would call watering holes, right? Or going to these areas where people of this mindset that you're looking for tend to hang out. Be that, are you looking for the gun club? Are you looking for the fringe left, the fringe right? You find your material and you go fishing in there. And then you find someone who looks like they could be a player. You reach out and have a conversation. And I would even say, you were saying, well, if it's all this and their dad owns guns or whatever. For me, I'm finding the right person. And as you said, the right person is flexible. The right person is the person who's going to do it. Mm-hmm. Do they have to do it well? Not really.
Right.
Well enough.
Yeah, we'll have a backup. Yeah.
Yeah, well enough. And what does it cost me? This is the most important thing, and I think the most interesting thing about online operations. I don't have to fly somewhere. Mm-hmm. I can do all of this online. I can spot you, I can assess you, I can develop you, I can recruit you, I can train you, I can equip you with cryptocurrency, I can pay you. And whether I'm using Call of Duty first-person shooter games, or whether I'm using videos, or we're doing it on whatever, or I can have you fly out to meet me somewhere else, and then I'm going to fly you back. Not only is this possible, this is happening all the time. All the time. You look at Russia is doing this. Russia's doing this with people in Europe, conducting sabotage and attempted sabotage in Germany, obviously in Ukraine, but Poland, other places around in Eastern Europe. This is happening all the time.
I bring this up because I went on Danny Jones's podcast, and we had a whole conversation about Crook, the guy's last name, about him. We talked about it, and of course, Danny. I was like, but kind of like you said, Occam's razor. But in the end, I would say, I think this is possible. I said, but in the end, what I think is it's just some lone wolf kid who hates Trump. That's really what I think it boils down to. And the more they looked into it, that's kind of what it was. But or kind of that's what it certainly appears to be. But it got me thinking, like, yeah, but if you did want to do this, how would a government agency or something, or how would they go about it?
Intelligence
And I
service
thought
or security
it would
service?
be easy.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be difficult at all. And like you said, all the analytics are out there. I mean, we have on YouTube the back page of YouTube, which you call, the YouTube Studio. Like, I know exactly what our demographic is. I know where they're watching from. I know I know what devices they're using. We know everything. The only thing we don't get, and I have no doubt that YouTube knows this, we just don't get the information, is this. I think this is something that YouTube, they know the information. They just don't let us know, which is income brackets. Like, we don't know what our average viewer, but that YouTube does, because YouTube specifically will target people. If you're watching a financial, if it's a financial channel and you're producing financial content, all the ads that YouTube places on that will all be finance related or stock. These are people that spend money, and their advertisers are saying, hey, we want you, this is our demographic, and they need to make over 200,000. And sure enough, they'll target those. So they'd have the information. We don't, but they do.
Yeah. And that's where, a handful of years ago when I was looking to run Facebook ads to start my business, or one of my businesses, that's what struck me with Facebook, where you could slice it as thinly as you wanted. And they had it all, including income.
Yeah. And target the area. You can say, hey, I just want it in these 6
within
counties.
15 miles of this IP address or
Right.
of this address. Oh, yeah. I mean, the micro-targeting that you can do is incredible.
Right.
And if you look at it, intelligence services have been using this since it's been around. You go back to the 2016 election where the Russians were attempting to influence it, allegedly, whatever. But the way that they were able to use Cambridge Analytica to find the data about this and to micro-target, fascinating. But let's go back to what your question was, or your theory, your hypothesis. Absolutely, nation states can use surrogates and other places to conduct direct action operations or assassinations. The Iranian government has been doing this since the revolution. David Belfield, was African American that the Iranians recruited back in the late 70s, early 80s to assassinate a former Iranian ambassador in Maryland. The Iranians, if you look at all the threats against Trump, Bolton, Pompeo, all the senior officials after the president made the decision to kill Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian general, Quds Force general. The Iranians are using surrogates. Who are they using? Criminal groups, outlaw biker gangs, people on the margins of a society that they can get to. What's their trade? Violence, crime. What's their requested compensation? Money. If you've got someone who's willing to do violence or to commit crimes on your behalf for money, you've got everything you need. Everything else is just a matter of communications and training.
And those people have the mindset to do it. Because if you asked an accountant to do that, he's going to be like, I don't care how much money you give me. Sorry.
No, and look, intelligence operations are the same thing as sales, right? You've got a funnel.
Yeah.
For every 10 people that you may reach out to in that forum that talks garbage about the president or garbage about someone, you hit 5 of them. Hey, man, are you ready to do something about it?
No.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
No, of course, I'm a keyboard warrior. I am tough guy in my mom's basement,
But you have a large enough group and you funnel it down, you're going to get a few people.
Well, and not to mention, I mean, that's the magic.
Yeah.
Right. That's where we make the big bucks, is where you take someone who has potentially that motivation, potentially that access, and you start to work on them. Right. You put that idea in their head, or you make it look like it was their idea, but you lead them to it through a series of questions and conversation and visualization, and there's a lot of tools and techniques with it. But again, you're not off base.
Right.
I'm not saying that any of this stuff, it can potentially sound crazy, but then you read the news articles, the Russians recruiting immigrants to Europe to conduct sabotage, and it's, hey, do this, do that. You look at basic crime. I love this, right? So you've got I was reading, what the hell was the guy's name? Jeff White's book, Rinsed, and talking about cybercrime. And one of my questions when I'm investing cybercrime, how do they get these bank accounts open? It was awesome. He's got the answer. They contact college students. Oh, you're a Nigerian college student. You're studying here. Hey, I'll pay you $500 if you go set up a bank account, and we're just going to use it for a little bit, and you'll make some money.
Yeah.
Oh, no crime, no issue. I'm going to make $500 for doing nothing, and then $500,000 gets run through that account, and when the cops come knocking, the last place they go is you who set up the account for them. And they say, well, I didn't know I was duped. I thought it was fast money. I thought it was easy money. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
And they don't usually get in trouble.
Yeah, well, and
Or
to
not much.
Yeah, to the extent that anyone's the bag holder, they are.
Yeah.
But that just just goes to show you, you can.
Yeah, you can. Or yeah, I was gonna say you can. The right person, you can convince. I always say that in the right circumstances, anybody will commit a crime. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on what getting that person in those that circumstance.
I would like to think that may not be the case, but my experience would tell me that.
Yeah.
More often than not, you can move people, whether you can move them all the way across the line. It's funny. I used to always. We may have talked about this on the first podcast. Cowards, right? Ego, we can always talk to get to do whatever. Because ego, is ego.
Yeah.
Cowards were I had the biggest challenge with cowards, moving cowards, because they just, you couldn't get them across. You couldn't get them across. They were just afraid.
Yeah.
But ego, forget about it.
Yeah. I was just going to say every bad decision I've ever made was based on my ego.
Wait, you were a young man at one time is what you're telling me? You had underdeveloped frontal cortex? It shocks me.
Yeah.
Shocks me, I say.
Yeah. I was going to say. I was just like with the shooters, that's why I always think to myself, one of the things you're looking for is a guy between 18 and 25. Because that's why they make the best soldiers too, right? They just do what you told them to do. They don't think. So you're telling me you want me to go into this village and execute everyone, including the women and children? Yes. I mean, that sounds like what I'm supposed to do. You ask a 45-year-old man that, he's going to be like, yeah, wait a second.
Well, let's step
Hold
back, because even I think most 18 to 25-year-olds, if you say go in and execute the village, probably not going to do it. But just experientially,
probably, but they're also
But I'll give you the
countless examples.
Well, but the corollary to that would be, of course, you're 18 to 25. We're going to go assault the village.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's resistance in there. There's people. There's targets in there.
Well, you got to tell them you got to tell them the right thing. And you got to give motivation.
18 to 25-year-old, I am unencumbered by experience, intelligence, caution. I am over encumbered with testosterone.
And if you're in a group of other people,
forget about it.
You become desensitized.
Yeah.
It no longer becomes an individual thing.
Yep.
No, it's the group. We're going in and we're doing this.
Yeah, but I think you're absolutely right. There's a reason why 18 to 22-year-old men are the backbone. Young men, I'm going to air quote men, having been one of those myself, are the backbone of the military, because they have the courage, they have the strength, they have the testosterone, and not the judgment, experience, or caution. So this demographic, 18 to 20, I mean, throughout history, they've been the soldiers. They've even been revolutionaries.
Mm-hmm.
Look back at the U.S. Revolution. But anyway, I think that is a potentially vulnerable, at-risk community that can certainly be radicalized, can be encouraged, can be directed, and sent. And that, I think it's an interesting question. Now, does that mean he's acting alone or acting on behalf of a foreign government? I think there's a lot of work, and I do think that we talked about it briefly a second ago. When you look at the first President Trump assassination, and then the Charlie Kirk.
I have trouble with that too.
Charlie Kirk assassination. You'll look at the profile of the shooter and their online activity, and certainly at-risk young men who are having some, influenceable, I should say. I don't think it's crazy to ask, and a lot of people in government, a lot of people of mine that worked in the same kind of areas and same experience that I had, that had that same question. Was there foreign influence behind these actions?
Right.
Was this a foreign actor who's trying to stir the pot in the U.S.? Are they anti-Christian? Are they anti-Kirk? Are they anti-President Trump? Or are they just trying to sow dissent in the U.S.? And really, could have been either one, but the goal is sowing that dissent in the U.S. And obviously, this is potentially successful.
Why do you think? Because this is what I was going to say, this is what comes up on my feed all the time. Because I don't know why. While I'm watching them. But that's probably why.
I was just going to say, and you click on the next and the next and the next.
Yeah, I do. What kills me is these these guys go into the universities, the rallies, which I used to watch Charlie Kirk all the time. He would go in there. Yep. And the reason I liked his was because, he was so overwhelmingly polite to everybody. I mean, even if he's
shockingly
decimating them, he wasn't like super brutal. he was very, like I said, he was very very polite to everybody. That even when he just decimated what they were saying, I can't see how he could have been any more polite when someone's saying something that's just completely outrageous. But a lot of those, there are these people that come and then they pick up the signs and throw them down, or they tear up the signs, or they steal their signs, and they're throwing stuff on these guys that are sitting at a little card table who just are saying, "Hey, let's have a discussion," and they walk by and they throw a fucking a Starbucks coffee on them, or they scream at them and knock their stuff over. They're just attacking them, and it's like, what do you? I'm just wondering why. Why do you think? And it may be the algorithm. It feels like the bulk of these attacks are liberals attacking conservatives under the guise of being inclusive. We hate you, you're racist and you're uninclusive, so we hate you, we want to cancel you, we want to destroy you, we want to assassinate you, we want to hurt you, we want you to not be able to talk while they're still preaching inclusivity and free speech. Like, you're telling me I can't talk and I shouldn't be allowed on the campus, and if it was up to you, you'd jail me or have me executed. But you're saying you're going to do that for free speech when all I'm trying to do is have free speech. I mean, it just seems like the left is being so, and I could be wrong. Maybe it's 50-50. If it is 50-50, I'm not seeing it.
I don't recall the last time that the right burned down a city.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean,
I don't recall and again, hey, I don't know everything here, but no, you're absolutely right on the algorithm. I think you see what you click on.
Yeah,
but and the controversy and the rage, but no, I'm with you. I mean, I thought I was aware of Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to say that I was a Charlie Kirk guy or that I was intimately involved or familiar with all of his things before the assassination. Right. After the assassination, I found myself watching hours and hours and hours, and I was just struck by the same thing you were. This is a guy who's willing to go in the most hostile territory and sit and have a conversation.
Right.
And the rhetoric brilliance of this young man to be able to have those conversations, never get mad, and was magnanimous and polite in ways that certainly there were some people that I don't know if they deserved that level of politeness.
Right.
And then to be killed for it was shocking and tragic and that. But yeah, no, I'm with you. For people who champion inclusivity and call everyone else Nazis and fascists, but want to ban words and do that cancel and censor and all the things that you would attribute to.
It's the same thing.
Ideological fascism, but it's fine.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's the Trump thing where they're trying to say, that where for so long they were pushing the agenda of January 6th, right? And of course the response is always like, what did he say? What did he say? Like, and they could never tell you what he said. They could never tell you he said march on the Capitol, do this, tear up this, let's take over. He never says any of these things. It's so bad that they want it so bad for that to be the case that, like, the BBC and this other company that they came out with these documentaries where they actually edited, and you've seen this, it's been everywhere, obviously, it's all over the news.
Of course.
Where the left wants it to be like this so badly, they're willing to manipulate the truth to frame you into being the person they want you to be, when in fact you just, I don't see that these guys are like that. And there are some fringe people that are just out there that it's like, I used to watch Candace Owens. I mean, I don't know. She went so far. I don't even want to say so far right. She just jumped off the rails completely. Like, now she's going after what she's saying that this, that is it the French president's wife was a man.
Yeah,
I don't have any idea. She's doing the whole, or is she also jumping on? I want to feel like she's jumping on the whole. It's all the Jews are behind everything, that bandwagon. I think that's what she's saying. I could be wrong, but there's a whole group of conservatives that I used to kind of watch, And I'd say out of 10 of them, let's say there's 3 or 4 of them that just went, it's like, oh, wow, okay, you guys went in, you're now talking crazy. Now you guys just went nuts. I mean, I assume they're nuts. I'm looking at you thinking, well, okay, am I wrong? Maybe they're not. Maybe they just figured out.
I feel like Robert Downey Jr. gave some good advice to Ben Stiller in the movie about this one time. I won't necessarily repeat it here, but where he was talking about his acting career and how Forrest Gump did good and other people did good, but you can't.
That Robert Downey Jr. He wasn't in Forrest Gump, was he?
No, from Tropic Thunder. I'll let you work.
Tropic Thunder. Oh, okay.
I'll let you work that one out. I find that sometimes, and I'm with you. People that I listen to, Candace Owens is a perfect example. I've enjoyed her commentary, her thought, her criticality for many years, and lately, there's just a few things that really give me pause.
Yeah,
and almost invalidates, which is horrible because she was always one that I said, hey, listen to Candace.
Yeah, she's great.
Listen to Candace, and she just kind of got a little bit afield for me, and starting to get into things that I think are overly conspiratorialized and that just don't hold water. But let me ask you: so is that audience building? Is that you have to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger to get the audience, to get the laugh, to get the attraction, to get the money? I'm just wondering.
Is it? I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I think, and I guess I don't think like this, but there certainly was a time in my life where, what was important was more.
Yeah.
I was saying getting more was what was important, not being happy with what. And I'd like to think that these guys get to a point where it's like, okay, well, Candace Owens, like, you've got to be making. And I personally know guys that run podcasts that are making $100,000, $200,000 a month. That's what they're pocketing after everything. Yeah. And it's like, it's insane money. And they're nowhere near the reach of someone like Candace Owens. So she's got to be making, let's say she's making conservatively $400 or $500, $4 or $5 million a year, which is probably a conservative number for her. And if she's now making her decisions on, no, we need more views, we need more. It's like, come on, what are you doing? Like that, I would hate to think that's the motivation behind. It's like you're championing a movement that you believe in, then you should really. There's nothing wrong with wanting money. Like I have no problem with people making money and championing something, but I would hope that you would say, hey, I need to keep pushing my belief system here, but not at the expense of destroying, I'd say the bulk of the people that listen to her. I'll bet you 70, 80% when she went off the rails and started talking about, like, what do I care? What would I care even if the French president's wife was born a man? I don't care about France. They're doing this, they're doing that. I mean, the only reason I would care about what's going on in France or in England is my fear is it spills over here, that someday it hits our borders, and it's already hitting our borders. But that's the only thing. I could care less about some of the insane stuff that she's now talking about. Yeah. It's like, stop.
I wonder if this is, and that makes a lot of sense, and I wonder if this is an example of what we just talked about.
I'm begging you that. Please tell me it's not about money. Like, if I would hate, that's why I was trying to get to.
I don't know what's worse. I would rather it be about money because then it would make sense.
Yeah, you could kind of understand it.
I could see where someone was coming from. What I'm afraid of is it's just like what we talked about, spilling out into the real world. We engage with what motivates us and what gets us going, and then social media and the algorithms give us more. Mm-hmm. Whether it supports our far view or enrages us because it's supporting someone else's far view, and then that echo chamber comes around us, and then we as we start to get more extreme, as we start to get more hardened in our positions, the reasonable people around us go away,
right?
And you just collect up more people that support this extreme view of whatever you're having. I mean, that would be the only other thing that would make sense to me if it's not about the money. And again, I'd hate to say it was about the money, but man, that would at least make it make sense. Otherwise, are you being surrounded from an information perspective and from an influence perspective by people that are just hardening because you're driving away the moderates? Mm-hmm. And then that becomes your echo chamber, and that's all you hear. That confirmation bias of I am right. Look, right. The 5 people that are around me say these people do control the world.
Yeah,
that's scary. That's scary. And I think what you were just describing, I think is absolutely true. Back to social media. I always joke, if you like something, now you're just going to see more and more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, does that mean more and more of it exists? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old, reticular activating system that once you think about something in your mind tends to work in a way that you see more of it.
Mm-hmm.
You buy a Volkswagen, now all of a sudden all you see is Volkswagens on the street.
Yeah, it was the red car effect.
100%. 100%. Reticular activating system is that little part in your brain that runs your subconscious. It's the reason why goal setting and visualization and all that's so successful, because when you can see it, your mind actually pursues it in ways, the opportunities were always there, you just didn't see it. I think it's the same way when we start to engage with social media, when we start to develop our political opinions. Once those seeds are planted, you just start to see more and more and more. And to the extent that you're excluding other people and getting another view, that's why I love to talk to people from different ends of the political spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It surprises the heck out of people because I've got views, but I love to hear people that have articulate, strong, educated, informed views of the other side, because it helps me think through. It doesn't necessarily always change my opinion. It makes me rethink about things, but I love that. I love it, and I think it keeps one balanced, and at least you can understand where the other side's coming from. So if you talk about this echo chamber, we talk about this radicalization, it looks like probably that's one thing that the shooter, the attempted assassin of President Trump and the assassin of Charlie Kirk had in common. Spending time in online forums, spending time in areas where they could be externally radicalized or self-radicalized by reading more, by bringing in more information from online, from particular areas where they're not getting that variance of opinion. So that to me sounds like that's something. Now, if we look at one of the other shooters we were talking about allegedly, I was going to say earlier, we should probably say allegedly about all these guys, right? Because justice has a chance to do its thing, but we all know.
I feel pretty sure. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, very confident.
I'm willing to risk the lawsuit.
Well, I'm willing to say that, did they do it? Yes. Are they going to be guilty or innocent? That's prosecution. That's
right.
Law. We'll see how that shakes out. But did Luigi shoot the CEO of United Healthcare? Absolutely. Did Tyler Robinson shoot Charlie Kirk? Absolutely. The rest is up to, the rest is justice.
Yeah.
So
right.
Guilty or innocent are terms of law, not of biblical significance. The one piece that the outlier here, and it's interesting, there's streams and there's pieces and parts that touch in between all these killers. And the other killer that we talked about too is Brian Kohberger, not a political assassination, but was the person who had pled guilty now to murdering the 4 students or the 4 young people at Idaho University a handful of years ago. But there is interesting threads that run between and touch all of these cases. So if we look at the shooter, the attempted assassin up in Pennsylvania of President Trump, was involved in online communities that were similar to some of the same communities that Tyler Robinson, the shooter of Charlie Kirk, was. This was related to potentially questions about sexuality, potentially questions about gender identification, gender dysmorphia, all those things. And then, and I don't know much about this community, but the furry community. Right. Matt, you're probably an expert at the furry community, right?
What's so funny is I'll see them out. Like I don't know if do you ever notice them?
I only on Halloween.
No, I'm in the airport and I'm looking and I'm like, oh wow, like the person's got the little ears and they're dressed up. It's like you're borderline dressed up as like a cat right now in public and wearing like not flip flops, but like slippers, like night slippers or whatever you call those, and your pajama bottoms, and you're in public. Yeah. Like this is in an airport, this is in malls, this is walking down the street, and I'm just like, if that's not a mental illness, I mean, I don't know what is. Like, listen, it's got to be.
So for me, each his own, right? If that's what does it for you, knock yourself out. And if someone else doing that.
Yeah,
does it for
you're
you?
Not bothering me. I don't care. But
knock yourself out, man.
Odd.
To each his own. Now, here's the interesting thing, and we talk about this as you're looking at people to radicalize. Let's go back to what we were talking about before. Can you radicalize someone? What am I looking for? I'm looking for outliers.
Yeah.
I'm looking for people that take social convention and are willing to color outside the lines a little bit. And so, if you're willing to challenge that much social convention by identifying as a cat or whatever. Is that possible that I can take that raw material of someone who's willing to color outside the lines for whatever reason and turn that into something else? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, okay. Why do you think that? Because they're not following the standard.
I'll give you a perfect example. I've got someone who works for me who's an absolute rule follower.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's awesome. She's incredible. But boy, if there's a rule, she's going to follow it. And for whatever reason, I didn't grow up with that gene.
Yeah.
Right? If there's a crosswalk,
My first thought was do-gooder. Sorry.
right.
Those damn do-gooders.
So listen, for me, and it was perfect, right? So for me, if there's a crosswalk, she's going to walk up to the corner and cross at a 90-degree angle on the crosswalk, probably when the light turns green for her to cross. If it's me, I'm walking across the road. If there's no traffic there,
as long as I don't get hit by a car,
I'm walking across the road.
we're good, right?
And I don't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
I'll give you another one. I was traveling with the same young lady, and they announced on the airline, put the tag on your bag. And when you do, write your name on it and your destination and all that. I haven't done that in, 20 years.
Right.
But moreover, I saw her doing it. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, what? That's what they said to do. I was like, and?
They told you to jump off a bridge.
Right, exactly. But I guess my point to this is it's fascinating how some people are predisposed through nature or nurture to be rule followers. Mm-hmm. And some people, I presume I will include you as a fellow traveler, are not predisposed to be rule followers. We'll follow the rules that make sense.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Don't walk out in traffic.
I genuinely feel, or I certainly used to feel, I was positive that there was just some rules that just didn't apply to me. That's for the squares. They can follow those rules. But that same person you were describing is also the person that gets straight A's in school.
Wildly successful.
Right.
Pays all their taxes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Great employee.
Great.
Right. But, but it's funny because it's always the guys that get C's and almost get kicked out of college, or maybe don't come. Those are the guys that end up opening companies and being successful in a different way. But you can kind of figure that out. Like during high school, you can kind of figure that out. You're like, okay, this guy, he's either going to prison or he's going to be a CEO. This group of people, they're all going to go into W-2 jobs, and they're going to have pensions. They're going to have 401ks. They're going to retire at 62 years old. They're going to own their own home. They're going to have a one kid or two kids. They're going to get married. That. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, that's what's so funny too is that, but that's really who's running the country.
Well, I was just going to say
middle class, and that's who's running shit.
I don't know about you, but probably 9 times out of 10, I'd say I wish I was more like that, because that looks like a much better life than the guy who's like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing that no one's done, or I'm gonna.
Colby's heard me say this 1,000 times. I wish to God I'd been just a middle class guy raising 2 kids, teaching soccer or little league. I wish that had been my life. What a great life that would have been. It didn't work out for me.
No, absolutely not. All right, so let's go back though, because this is really interesting. So for me, we talked about, I was an intelligence officer. I was a case officer, right? My job was to convince people to commit espionage. If you were a rule follower,
mine was to convince people to commit crime.
Right.
Same.
Different circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, we
so
talked
your
about
guys
it
get a
before.
pension.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Well, yeah, if you're doing it right. If you're doing it right. But rule follower, that's just a different thing. I would use an authority technique, and you can still get a rule follower to do fun stuff. You just got to convince them that the rules are different for them and that you're playing by a different set of rules. Anyway, but the non-rule follower, the unconventional person, the person who's already stepping outside of the lines, you can work with. You can certainly work with. And so I don't know. I think this is where it gets into the real gray area, as we talked about before. ISIS used to radicalize people. Now, is this someone is already on the path and they get in front of that path and they take them down this branch that turns into a terrorist attack? Or is this someone who hadn't even left the train station yet?
All right. Okay.
And now I say, hey, the train station's right over there. Let's go on a ride.
Yeah.
What do you like? What turns you on?
All right.
Oh, well, I just, it's unfair. Life's unfair. You're damn right it's unfair.
And then you give them, why?
Yeah.
You
of
give them a
course.
reason
If it was only for these guys, it'd be a lot fairer. But the biggest thing for me, I just wish we could find someone who would do something about it.
Yeah. Got to make some changes.
Right?
You gotta.
Someone who would, has the courage really to act. It's not for everybody. I mean, that's probably why it's so hard, but there's that 1 in 1,000 people who change the world because they have the courage to act. 1 in a million, maybe. But it's really hard to find those guys. I don't know. Where do you think we can find a guy like that? Would it be you?
No.
Weird.
Would not be me, but
Right.
so. And you're saying that you feel like these forums that these guys are kind of sharing. This is what's going on in those forums.
Look, ever since we were in a locker room, and we're all convincing the one kid, hey, man, you should do this. Go, yeah, do this. Yeah, do this. Just like you talked about earlier, the gang influence and all that. Next thing you know, if you're in one circumstance, you're robbing a store. If you're in another circumstance, you're egging a house. Or you're, hey, maybe if it's positive, you're calling that girl that you weren't, you were too afraid to call. But the internet forums just make that even more.
Mm-hmm.
The outrageous things that you can say and the conversation you can have, even in terms of, is this just a fantasy conversation? Are we playing a first-person shooter game conversation? I can talk in what I would consider operationally relevant terms in a lot of different forums. Oh, man, we're in Final Fantasy here. Wouldn't it be cool to kill the king?
Right. Right.
Right? If it wasn't for this Star Wars... wouldn't you want to kill Darth Maul when he was a kid? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, certainly. If I had the chance to do that, I would.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. Man, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler when he was young, wouldn't that be a thing? Yeah, of course. And you start to intellectually get people over these hurdles.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying this happened or didn't happen, but in my mind, I can see easily a pathway to this. And whether that is someone playing the puppet master behind the scenes to guide this, or whether it's what organically happens in these forums where guys get together and, well, this, and then this, and then this, and next thing you know, someone takes that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times have you had a conversation with someone and they go and do something and you're like, well, we weren't being serious. We're just messing around.
Right, right. Well, it's especially in the kind of mob mentality, you start to lose your individual will when you're surrounded by a group of people that are all hell-bent on this one thing. You suddenly, how many experiments have there been where they have 12 people in a room and then there's a ding, something that they have the new person come in the room and sit down like they're waiting for the doctor. Yeah. They come in and then they sit there and then every time there's a ding, everybody stands up and the one guy's sitting there going, "What the hell's going on?" And then of course they all sit back down. And then a couple minutes later, ding, they all stand up. And then before long, by the third or fourth ding, the guy that has no fucking clue what's going on starts standing up with everybody else. Then those people slowly move out of the room over the next 10 minutes. And now every time the ding's going on, he's the only one left that's still standing up. And new people are coming in. And now they're all standing. It's that kind of like, why do you follow that rule? Well, that's what everybody else was doing. And you get indoctrinized to it. And now I'm standing. And if you said, why are you standing? And it's like, that's what you do when the bell goes off. Like, and there's so many experiments like that, or what are they? Do they call them experiments or they call them something else? Anyway, whatever, they get the group of people and do those types of things. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, I was thinking about and some of these things are just, it's ridiculous, but people will follow. My favorite one is Zach. My buddy Zach, who's got the guys where he was a member of this is a prison thing where he was a member of the Florida car. And he said, so it's kind of like a gang, right? Mm-hmm. So you kind of in federal prison, you're not really like, I'm with the blacks and I'm with you're with the Spanish guys or you're with the white guys or you're with this gang or that gang. Mm-hmm. They call them cars. So it's more broken into, you're with the Florida car. Like, well, I'm from Florida. Mm-hmm. So you hang out with your guys. So he said he was with the Florida car. And he said, so one day, he said, like the shot caller, calls everybody, and this was in a pen, mm-hmm. calls all the guys together into his room, and he's like, I get in there. Zach's there for fraud, by the way. He's harmless. Mm-hmm. Harmless. Mm-hmm. He goes in there, and these guys are passing out knives. Mm-hmm. And the main guy's like, yeah, man, the guys from D.C., the D.C. car disrespected us. Tomorrow at 12, we're going out during lunch. We're all going to go out and we're going to meet on the rec yard. And this guy's hyping everybody up. Yeah, fuck those dudes. We're gonna show them they can't treat us any kind of way. He's like, there's like 8 or 9 guys in a cell, and we're all like, yeah, man, fuck them, yeah. And he's like, and these guys are amped up. We're ready to go. He's like, I mean, I'm being told how to take my knife and wrap the gauze around my hand so it doesn't slip out if there's blood. He's like, what am I doing here? Like what? He's like, oh, okay. He's like, I'm ready to go. We're ready to go. He said, and they get them all amped up. And he said, just before we're about to leave with our weapons, Zach says, yo, why are we going to war? And the guy goes, man, because, one of the guys in the DC car, man, he disrespected my boy. And he goes, your boy? Yeah, man, my boy. He goes, you mean the punk? That's what you call like a gay guy. Yeah. He's like, you mean the punk that you used to, because he used to be a cellie, like used to be your cellie that you, like your boyfriend. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, man, he tried him. Like he's making moves on my boy. So we're going to show, yeah. And Zach went, yeah, man, because I don't want to go to war over a punk. Because it just sounds like a you problem. Like I'm not. And he goes, and he's like, I'm not doing that, bro. Like I'm not going to end up with a life sentence because some guy is flirting with your boyfriend. And he like hands another guy a knife back, and then everybody's like, yeah. And suddenly everybody was like, yo, bro, yeah, that's fucked up. I didn't know that was. And so when he gets out there, like guys are coming up to him the rest of the day going, yo, man, I'm fucking glad you said something. I didn't even think to myself if I'd known it was that, I wouldn't have been all jacked up about doing it. And one guy happened, if Zach hadn't have mentioned that,
yeah,
these guys they don't have any clue what they're doing. They're going to go out and get into a fight because somebody flirted with your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, how insane is it? And that's a very small little thing in a prison of 9 guys on a forum with thousands of people. It's like a massive think tank.
Yeah.
And how easy would it be to convince somebody to do something?
Well, it's fascinating. And you raise a great issue, and this conveys, whether it's group crime, whether it's group think, whether it's group anything else, how fragile a group's control over someone is. How easy it is to establish. We're going to do this, man. We're going to shiv this dude. This is how you do it. Everyone's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. But how fragile. And so we've talked before. My company investigates a lot of scams and frauds.
Right.
And so we help respond when people fall victim to romance scams and how they will fall under the spell of this romance scammer.
Right.
I promise you, Matt, that beautiful woman that is the person of your dreams
in Ukraine, who's 22 years old, she's definitely interested in a 56-year-old man.
Yeah,
that's
it. Just makes sense, right?
Look at me.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Right?
I believe that.
Yeah, of course.
Let's get her over here to the U.S.
I am a 10 on the internet.
Does she need some money?
Well, no, of course, to get the ticket to come over here.
Of course.
No,
I'm ready to sign. I'm ready to send the money.
Obviously.
Can I send it to a Western Union?
No, only if you know what's better, even better than that is you got to send it via cryptocurrency. You got to send it via Bitcoin.
Crypto?
Yeah, you got to go to the
Western
ATM.
Union.
No, forget about it. Now, Western Union, there's like trails. Crypto, do it. But here's the thing. So as I tell people, and we do this for Insider Threat as well, when you're being targeted from the outside and someone is telling you to do something, whether it's, hey, I'm the CEO and I'm at a conference, and go get, I need to give gift cards to the people at the conference. Go do it now. I'll pay you back later. I can't talk on the phone because I'm in this conference. You can convince someone for long periods of time or short periods of time. You can put them under a spell. Mm-hmm. The best thing, the easiest thing, that's also when it's the most fragile, when you can break it. If you get that outside influence.
That's why they want you to do it right away.
Don't
get off the phone with me.
And that is once you're living, now, whether that's the 1,000-person 4chan forum you're in, whether it's this echo chamber that you're in, whether it's a Discord channel, whether it's Reddit, whether it's a chat channel on a video game, as long as you're within that realm, that spell can continue. And that's why it's so, people ask, well, how do you break the spell of radicalization, or how do you break this? If you get it early enough, you do just what your guy did. Mm-hmm. Hey, who are we going to shiv this guy over? Your guy, somebody disrespect your guy's boyfriend? It's easy to break the spell if you get it early, but if you don't, the perfect example, your guy Zach would have been in prison for life.
Well, you know what the situation there was? he wasn't of the mindset the rest of the guys were because he was a fraud guy and really shouldn't have been in the pen to begin with.
Yep.
If there wasn't another Zach,
Yep.
you're right. That's exactly what would have happened.
Yep.
And with those guys in those forums, they have the numbers. They can get down to that core group and they can get rid of those guys that are going to question.
Yep.
Right. So they get those people that aren't questioning. They're 100%. And you know what? Also, what in my mind would be super appealing to someone that's already of that mindset is that it gives you a purpose in life. And things are so good. People don't realize that things are so good out here. Most people become radicalized because they don't really have a purpose in life. And when you're single and you're a 22-year-old kid that is single and you're making your bills barely and life, maybe it's not, everything's good for everybody else and you suddenly are given a greater purpose, you're ready to jump on board. I mean, who doesn't want a purpose? You know, with the right purpose, you'll put up with anything. You'll do anything for that if you think you're fighting for a just cause and you have a purpose. Because without that,
And
you're
that
just
and that
some
was brought to you
loser.
by the United States Marine Corps.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you're
100%.
just some loser working for fucking McDonald's. Like you feel horrible about yourself.
Well, listen, and young men these days, particularly, I feel like are at risk because of the core of who we are and what we are, and we've been told now for successive periods of time that everything you know to be true about yourself is wrong.
Yeah.
It's
You're
toxic.
You're a horrible person. You're
Right.
you're 22 years old, 23 years old. You're
Everything that you were genetically determined to be is wrong. Why is it young men generally who are conducting these attacks? What is it that leads them to this path of self or group radicalization? What are the common threads? I think it's fascinating, and but more importantly, I think the other thing. You have kids?
I have a son.
Okay.
And I have a stepdaughter, and now it's stepson. What is he? Stepson-in-law or something like that? What is he?
I guess it'd be a step.
They're like 19, 20.
Yeah, son-in-law, step-son-in-law.
Yeah. It's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's not a great situation.
So
And soon to be.
Is it what is this kid that now I'm like a grandson? I'm going to be like a grandfather to it's
like a step grand
Listen, it's
Grandmaster Flash. I mean,
all
it's
train wrecks. All train wrecks.
Listen, we're all train wrecks in our own way. You know, train running fast on a track is just a wreck that hasn't happened yet, right? You know, it's life's tough.
I'm sounding more and more like my father every fucking day that I'm living. Every day I live with these two kids. Every day I'm my fucking. Put your fucking shirt on. Why are you walking around without a shirt?
What?
Put your shoes on. Yeah, I don't care if we're inside. Put your shoes on. Well, you know, some people like them by the front door. No, I don't. It's silly. It's silly. We don't have white carpet. And this is how I'm acting. And I'm like, fuck on my father. Exactly. I'm yelling at people for no reason. Everything's upsetting me. Why have we got 4 fucking half-drink bottles of fucking water when you've been the only one home all day? And when I left, there were no half-drinking. Why are you getting bottles of water, drinking half, putting it down? Are we collecting half bottles of water? Sorry, go ahead. Does every light in the fucking house have to be on? I just went upstairs. You're watching this program. I know you've been binge watching it. The light, the fan, and the light on your bed is on. Because I'm paying the electric bill. That's why. Listen, this kid the other day, he turned on the shower and he went into his room and started playing a video game and told me. And when I said, "Are you taking a shower?" I'm waiting for it to get warm. Wait, it's fucking warm. It's been 10. He's playing a video game. What are you doing? What? Oh yeah, no, bro. It's just a couple minutes. And he walks in. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, now it all makes sense, right? Okay, so we've established that you've got some fatherly tendencies in you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back. Tyler Robinson, shooter of Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
Right. I'd love to get into the specifics of all the forensics and all the technical investigation and all that stuff. And one of the things I spend a lot of time thinking about is big data and how big data can be used, back to your original point, to find someone who's done something. But the funny part for me, you ever heard of a LOP by any chance? A LOP?
No.
Little old person. So this is a very technical intelligence term, right? That in the age of satellites and persistent internet monitoring and facial recognition and all the DNA tech, all this fancy technology, the biggest risk almost always to our operations were from a lop. Little old person who didn't have anything else to do besides sit around and just say, well, that's weird. That guy shouldn't be there. Let me call somebody about it. Like, well, are you sure, Betty? Shouldn't you just be, turn on Judge Wapner and go back to your tea? Let me do my thing here. So in the age of all of this advanced technology, and I think we would have gotten there with Tyler Robinson had he not turned himself in. But why did he turn himself in?
I thought his father turned him in.
So it was his mother and his father that looked at the pictures and said, that's Tyler. And then the father that confronted him. And okay, so why am I going down that path? About how to break that spell, right? So this was a kid who had, long discourse on text or whatever signal, whatever messaging platform he was using with his partner at the time to talk about all of this. But it was the father that was able to, and the family that was able to break this spell to get him to ultimately, through the help of some clergy, to turn himself in. I say that in that, breaking the spell of these kind of things is getting someone out of that bubble that they're in, where they're being radicalized or they're being convinced or they're being whatever, to sort of see, oh, this isn't right, like Zach and the Shiv. Yeah. Right. And the reason why I asked you if you were a dad, first, my message to folks out there, how do we prevent or how do we help derail people that are following down this path? Talk to them, engage them, break that bubble, get it out of there. That's the biggest one. That's kind of where I was going with that. But then as we start talking about it, one of the things I always think about, could you imagine being that kid's son or being that kid's dad and seeing that video pop up and say, here's the shooter, have that conversation at home?
I just lost my son.
Yeah.
I just lost my son. Yeah. It's over.
What would you do?
I mean, unfortunately, I would do the exact same thing. I don't see that he had a choice. I mean, my son's he may get killed. Like, turning him in was probably the most humane thing, but then I think about this kid's life in fucking prison too. It's going to be bad. Well, but I'm not going to I'm not hiding him.
They said death penalty right up front, right? But yeah, I mean, it killed in a law enforcement engagement.
Yeah, what do you, like, I can't justify, I just can't justify my son just fucking, just murdered someone. You just murdered, like, to talk about extreme premeditation.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's got to be thinking, like, I didn't raise you like that. And keep in mind too, at some point,
he was conservative.
He got away. Yeah.
It was a conservative household.
It went completely and it went completely off the rails for the kid. And what I was going to say is, as far as talking to him, here's the interesting thing about that is that, so I don't know if you know about, of course there's many scams, but I'm sure you know about this scam where they call and they tell you that you owe money to, let's say whatever it is. Let's say it's the IRS. Mm-hmm. And then they convince the person that if there's going to be a warrant for their arrest unless they send the money right away. And they say, well, can I send you the money? And they have them go to like Walmart and buy the cards and then take the cards and they give them the numbers on the cards and they're able to drain the money on the cards, right? But a lot of times, almost exclusively, they tell the person, like, do not get off the phone.
Yep.
Do not talk to the person at the counter. Do not tell anybody about this. Now, most of the time, that at some point the person realizes, like, this isn't right, this is strange. But and maybe they lose that person.
Yep.
But their real fear is that if they actually mention something to the teller, or they mention something to the clerk, if they mention it, they know that person's outside that loop you're talking about, outside that kind of that group. That person's on the outside, and that person's going to say, wait a second, ma'am. The IRS wouldn't ask you to do this. Right. Who are you on the phone with? Those tellers would say something. That clerk would most likely go, "You're doing what?
Yeah.
Oh no. This is a scam." So they want to keep you from anybody that could talk to you out of it, or at least bring some reason to you.
And that's 100%. And that's that break the bubble. And again, one of the techniques of manipulation like this is keep this just between us. Mm-hmm. Other people just wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Right. That's why this makes so much sense, right? Because it makes complete sense, right? Of course it makes sense. Look, we get it. Nobody else does. So let's just keep it between ourselves.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah. Well, it depends on if you're the...
which
depends on what your role.
Yeah.
I call that a technique.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And that's, we talk about that with insider threat or with scam protection or prevention or any of that. Cybersecurity, we talk a lot about that. If something's happening, if you're going to click on something, if you're going to change somebody's payroll information based on a request, if you're going to change accounts payable information based on an email from someone that's new, stop and ask somebody else. Just by stopping for that hot second, asking somebody else, you'll get different perspective on, and it'll be that, well, no, this doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't do it like this. You're right. They wouldn't do it like this, just like you said, but you got to stop and ask. And so I just wonder, all the way back, okay, so I'm being radicalized in a forum, or I'm being, I've got people that are in my head telling me something's right. It sounds right. It makes sense. Their math makes sense. 1 + 7 = fire truck. Yeah, it makes perfect sense because I've got 100 other people telling me that's the case. Mm-hmm. But if I just had that relationship with my dad, or if I had that relationship with my best friend, or with someone outside of this, 1 + 7 = fire truck. No, it doesn't. It's
right.
It's 8.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
All right.
But just fascinating how easy, that there's a potential off ramp.
Yeah.
For this. But yeah, sorry. Now I'm being a little bit of your. I'm all around because this conversation's got me just thinking about so many things. But as a dad, I couldn't imagine.
I was just thinking while you were talking. I was thinking this. But you mentioned that the dad thing, and I was just thinking this poor fucking guy. I feel horrible for his dad because his dad's got to be going like, should I have done something different? Should I have said something different? Should I have? What could I have done? What could I? This. But I watched a long, whatever, like a long time like graph the other day that just literally showed up, I think like yesterday or something. It was amazing. It broke down a person's relationships or a person's time. Sorry, like their time. Mm-hmm. How much time they spent with their family, their friends, their work coworkers. It just broke down different things, right? Mm-hmm. Television, social media, blah blah blah. And of course, when it starts off, because this is in the last, let's say, 50 years. Mm-hmm. So they showed this little graph. It was a bar graph, mm-hmm. Different colors. It was nice. It was easy to follow. So, but I'm looking at, and so 50 years ago, like for social media wasn't even on there. It's like zero, right? Yeah. Like there's no real social media.
Yeah.
I think
reading the newspaper or something.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking Bubba the Love Sponge. What we talked about it, where talk radio was like social. That was like the closest form of social media would be talk radio, where you could call in and
yeah.
So it was like zero. But then over the years, you watched the graph where it was like how much time people spent with their friends was probably one of the biggest. Mm-hmm. And then it was like friends, and it was coworkers, and it was family, and the graph.
I have to imagine church was in there somewhere.
Somewhere, I'm sure, religion of some type. Yeah. So and it slowly over the last 50 years. Listen, social media didn't just slightly beat it is overwhelming. It is that it's this big. Everything else is like minor compared to how much time people spend on social media. In the last 5-10 years, it's overwhelming with how much time. How can you? I always loved it. Did you ever see the movie True Lies?
Oh yeah.
What was his? Oh gosh, what's his name?
Henry Tasker.
Yeah, but. You wouldn't know. Roseanne, what's Roseanne Barr's?
Tom Arnold.
He's so great.
Yeah,
that's probably his best role ever. Because he always plays Tom Arnold. But in that movie, it's so funny when he finds out that Tasker's daughter is stealing from him, mm-hmm. and he's like, "Oh, we taught her better than that. She shouldn't be stealing from you." He goes, "Yeah, but you and Helen, you're not her parents anymore. You have no influence on her. She's watching, what the 30-second or the 30 minutes a day that you spend her doesn't compete with how much time she spends with Madonna, Axl Rose." He starts naming off. He's like, "That's who her influence. Those are her parents." Mm-hmm. He goes, "She's probably saving money to pay for an abortion." I mean, he's just like, "No, not Dana. No, not Dana." But like how much? Think about it. How much time do you spend? If your kid goes to high school, how much time a day do you? I think it's something like 12 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day. The average parent spends with their child while they're in the house in high school.
Yeah.
So what is it when they're 19 or 20 or 22 and they're in college, in some liberal college who's telling them what a horrible person they are and how horrible society is, and then you just need a little bit of an influence from a couple of these forums with some guy telling them, "Hey, you know what? Probably should take couple of these guys out." If some patriots stood up and took out a couple of these conservatives, we could really make some changes. That's what's happening.
No, and it's sobering to think. And my mind immediately goes to how do you, recognizing that's the reality, the engagement level of social media compared to parents, compared to school, compared to church, right? I mean, forget about.
They're not even close. It's not even close.
It's not even, you know, so how do you capture that in video games? I don't know where video games come in on that, or where YouTube comes in on that, if we call that social media. But
the first person shooter games probably, one, it's partial training, and two, it's probably desensitization, right? Is that the word, desensitization?
Desensitization. Yes.
I'm throwing an extra D in there somewhere.
It's
but whatever.
It's fine. I know it's big
Yeah.
D. It's bad. Yeah. No, well, you know, yeah.
Well, I feel like the social media and the confirmation bias of seeing the same thing over and over is probably more damaging and convincing than than
video. Well, I mean, if nothing else, like you said, it just confirms what people are already.
You're seeing like there is no separation from reality. Like, this is the real world. This is what's really going on. You know what I mean?
I like the quote, the Mao quote, which I've also heard it. People saying it was Stalin, but I think it was Mao. I've seen more Mao, where it's true political change comes from the end of a barrel. That's.
I think that might have actually been Lenin.
Was it Lenin?
Yeah, political change comes from the barrel of a gun. Unless it was Mao. Mao probably used it.
I heard it Mao, and then years later, I saw the same quote, but it was like Stalin or Lenin or who, and I was like, I heard it was Mao, but whatever.
Probably Trump. It was.
Yeah. So
there was a book written. I can't remember the author's name, and that frustrates me. But it was called On Killing. It was written by a West Point instructor that talked about how in various wars over time, how few soldiers actually fired their weapons.
Same thing with police officers.
Yep, going back and how but now up to the Gulf War, first Gulf War, and then now in our recent conflicts, we are really good. Almost everybody's firing their weapons,
right?
And that's not by accident. Right, that's because we've learned how to train them. We've learned how to desensitize them through interactive first-person shooter-type simulations and things like that. We've gotten so much better at that. Well, that is the same thing that our kids are playing. Now I'm right there. Hey, look, man, me and my son, when we hang out, what are we doing? We're playing Call of Duty.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing. And I wish it wasn't the case. Maybe not. I don't know. But I don't know. Now as I think about it, is that any different than when we were kids? You'd pick up a stick and be like, look, pow, pow, pow.
Yeah.
Because we're boys. Yeah. That's what we do.
We do sword fight. We used to sword fight all the time.
Yeah. I've got a sword. I've got a gun. You have a stick. It's a bazooka.
I was going to say, I heard a statistic. I watch a ton of stuff on World War II documentaries where...
You're at the age where you either have to grill meat now or become a World War II buff. I don't know if you know that. 56, I think, is the official Mendoza line there now.
No, well,
but it sounds like
it's
don't go for World War II.
4 years. I've been pretty hard on it for 4 years.
Love it.
But I'm not grilling steak. Really, to be honest.
Because you're a World War II guy. It's one or the other. It's binary.
You are grilling Omaha steaks.
I am grilling. I've eaten.
Are you sponsored by Omaha?
I didn't grill. You know who did that? Jess.
Yeah.
Because Jess, my wife, is really the man of the house.
Yeah. Well.
Like she's a marine mechanic. So she'll change our oil. She changes, like, she's rebuilding my entire. I have a Toyota.
Is she from Detroit?
She's from Okeechobee.
Okay.
So you know where Okeechobee, the Lake Okeechobee. So
I think I've heard of it in a song once or twice.
Yeah, it's a rough spot, but yeah, she's a tomboy. It's like she's an extreme tomboy. Yeah. So I was going to say that I heard that, and I don't think this can't possibly be the case now. Of course, you would know if it was now, but in World War II, the bombers that they said that 50% of the bombers were dropping their bombs prior to getting to their targets and turning around and coming back in World War II. I don't know if you ever heard that statistic.
I hadn't.
That's insane. So, but to me, it kind of goes back to what you were saying in a way. It goes back to where probably in World War II, how many people are actually shooting their weapons during that, like they're probably making sure that, hey, let's make sure we're shooting at the right guy. Like they don't want to make a mistake. They're more concerned at that time. And then I think over the last, I want to say, I almost said 50 years. Is that ridiculous? Almost 100 years. So whatever, 80 years, right? So over the course of that time, with with the games, with being desensitized, with glorifying violence or whatever, or glorifying war. That now, like you said, like now they're getting better at it. They're shooting more. They're more willing to shoot more. So I could see that, and I'm sure when they're dropping those bombs now, we know when they're being dropped and what they're hitting and everything else. Where before they're just indiscriminately dropping them, so they can say, "Yep, we hit our target," and they just want to come home, and they just, maybe they're not feeling good about dropping bombs from a plane that we don't really know who these people are. We're hitting.
Right.
But still, they're all still young 22-year-old kids that are in airplanes, even back then.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. So
spoken like a true guy who doesn't grill meat. That's good. It's World War II buff.
I know. I'm staying inside and watch TV. My wife's got it. Jess has it. She'll tell me when it's time to eat. Listen, and also from Okeechobee. Like we just got a puppy, a pit bull. We got a pit bull. I'm telling you, bro, this chick, she's one arm sleeved out in tats. I mean, I wasn't joking when I said the man of the house. Like, I mean, it's serious. The landlord comes over and hey, what needs to be done? Well, we're doing that. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I think Jess, you need to talk to. If a plumber comes, I'm like, you got to talk to my wife. I don't know why you're here. I really feel like that. Whatever that comedian is, where he answers the door and the guy's like, oh, we're here to do the roof. Okay. I don't know who you are.
I just cut the checks. I don't do.
You want to talk to my wife?
Yeah,
that's why you're here.
Yep.
So go ahead. Sorry.
No.
So
please.
The radicalization. So you're saying one, that's the Charlie Kirk. What was the other?
Certainly the shooter, former president or President Trump.
Trump shooter, and we've got and the guy with the co-eds, all the
Brian Kohberger,
right? Was there a guy also in the house that
was
supposed to be there?
Correct. Well, again, very hard. He pled out, and so there's a lot of details about motivation that he hasn't disclosed yet.
Does he have to? Is he?
No, he's not. It's part of his.
I don't talk about
my
it.
understanding, and this was the victims' families were very frustrated by this. That part of his plea agreement was that he didn't have to talk about. He pled guilty. Fine, I did it. 4 life sentences. I don't have to speak about anything else.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, we gotta know.
Right.
I gotta know
right.
what your motivation was. Like he was clearly. I watched a couple of YouTube videos on it, so I know everything.
Yeah.
But he was clearly he was clearly an oddball. I mean, all the other, because he was a teacher's aide, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the students were like, he was weird. And he had driven by the house over and over again, right? Like and he had communicated with these women, so there was some motivation there, like they had rejected him or he knew who they were.
So it's interesting, and James Patterson just wrote a new book about this where he kind of lays it out. James Patterson, the crime author, of course. And it's interesting. I read the book the other night. It's funny. I was flying back. I picked it up at the Denver airport and almost finished it between Denver and Kentucky. It's a breezy read. You know how it is when you've read enough stuff on things. It's breezy. But there were a couple of new things in that book, one of which alleges, and again, I don't know the sourcing on it, and I'd never heard it before, so presumably it came out, subsequent, that Kohberger had actually been in the restaurant where one of the victims was a waitress, attractive young lady. He made an approach to her. She kind of rebuffed it. That was that. But Kohberger was part of the, they say the incel.
Yeah.
You familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? The involuntarily celibate?
Yes.
We used to just call that
what?
Guys that
Yeah, you couldn't
score.
Yeah.
Apparently now it's got a name like everything else. I'm an incel. Cool. You should just hit the gym or get a haircut or take a bath. I don't know. Whatever. But you're an incel. Fine. So, relationship. And again, all that dime store psychologists, and I'm not going to be one of those that goes back and looks at relationships with parents and relationships with people growing up and yada, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But certainly had some issues with women. He was a teacher's aide. Right, he was pursuing his PhD in criminology at Washington State University.
Yeah,
had tried to intern with the local police department. Had written a paper on technical forensics and using technical forensic work or technical investigation in a rural department. And so informed a lot about it. And then the other thing you see with him, and again, we talked about it before, ego. Right? I really think that he thought he would be able to get away with it because he'd studied this.
He definitely put a lot of thought into it.
Certainly. He did. It's fascinating. But as you said, he put a lot of thought into it. He actually took some steps to prevent forensic reconstruction, but he did it in such a way that he missed some key things. And so it actually, once all of the information came out, it was worse than if he hadn't done it before.
Yeah.
Or hadn't tried to hide some of these things. There would have been different ways to do it. As you said, he didn't have his phone with him.
Yeah.
The night of the murder.
He put it on like airplane mode or something.
He turned it off.
Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. So he left his house at 2:47 in the morning. Turned his phone off.
You've been better off just leaving your phone by your on your nightstand.
Yeah. So drove his car to the crime scene. Drove in the area a couple of times, waiting for people to go to sleep. And his car was ultimately the big tipper, the first big tipper, depending on who you believe, on the DNA evidence from the knife sheath that he left behind. But the vehicle
was just a fly in the ointment. Like he lost it, right? Like in the struggle, he misplaced it, didn't know, and ended up leaving it. And,
left it behind.
Yeah, but that's the fly in the like. Sometimes you feel like you can account for everything, but there's just some things you're not going to be able to account for.
100%. And you look at that and you're like, oh, what an idiot! I'm like,
Is it
have
the
you ever
adrenaline?
Right. I mean, not that I've ever stabbed 4 people to death, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, he'd accounted for a lot of things. Now, there were some other things, driving his vehicle to the scene. His vehicle was ultimately captured on camera, license plates, got the suspect name, had accounted for his phone. His phone was turned off. So when they did a tower dump, where they dumped all the phones that were in the area at the time of the murders, his phone wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Kind of an interesting little technique that he used. But the sheath. But I don't know. I don't know whether they would have gotten to the DNA without the car. Because unless your DNA has been captured,
which his hadn't, but it was what are they? Is it familiar?
It was a genetic family,
cousin or uncle or father.
Here's a really interesting thing. They ultimately mapped it to his father to start with, but they were working, and this is a technique I don't think that law enforcement spends a lot of time talking out loud about.
Yeah,
but all the different ways that they're able to map genetics and map DNA, so you don't necessarily have to have your DNA. Right, could be your
got your cousins, got your sisters.
Right. 5 years ago, your sister bought your parents that 23andMe kit, and now
you thought they won't sell that information.
Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Well, it won't get stolen. They won't get sued. They won't lose. Now you can buy Now you can buy everything.
They won't share it to law enforcement. That stays in their database.
Right. Of course, because there's it's a privacy agreement. Well, the other thing I always joke about when I talk to people, particularly people in the military, I'm like, well, your DNA would never be out there. I mean, the military collected it, but that would never be exposed. Just ask the Chinese about my security clearance and my SF-86 that they stole. The government will certainly protect that information. But yeah, it's fascinating. But that trace DNA, I don't know whether that they would have got there or not. It was the car, the car and the license plate reader. The description of the car that begot the license plate that begot the name, that begot the phone, that begot the circumstantial evidence of him turning his phone off, and then the fact that phone had been in the area of that house 12 other times over the previous months. Fascinating, really.
Why? I wonder. I mean, out of all the things that kind of the stalking and the him thinking through the various different ways to get away with it, I wonder why. Because to me, I live in a new suburb. It's probably built 5-6 years ago, and every single house has one of those cameras on it.
Yeah,
we have cameras all around our house, and they're all those little recorded videos. Look, 3 seconds, 12 seconds, 2 seconds, 6 seconds. 3 people came to the door and knocked on the door today. We got 5. We know everything all the time. So I wonder why he didn't think to himself like, bro, you're going to be caught on camera somewhere. There's just the only thing he could have done, but it is so cold, and maybe he didn't want to be cold. But park your car and buy a shitty bike and ride the bike, or throw the bike in the river, or there's so many other. That one thing, and the whole thing just came unraveled. And then all the other things that he did to try and cover himself up, well, it actually now just looks more like you did it.
Yeah. And so he actually tried to account for the car. 6 days after the murder, he went and changed the license plates. So he had Pennsylvania plates because he'd moved to Washington State, and so he hadn't registered his car in Washington State. So he actually went to the DMV, got new plates. So what he was thinking was plates.
Yeah,
But
that doesn't look suspicious.
Right. Well, but again, if you're looking for, plate number, blah, 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 or some out-of-state plate or something like that. But like you said, once you start to try to cover it up, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Right? It gets worse.
I had a cellie that he robbed like the credit union at the university, and he stayed in the dorms on the university, and he literally had gone in, robbed the credit union or something, came back, went upstairs to his dorm room, and was shaving his head because he knew that they were looking for a guy that looked like him. So he shaved his head, and like his roommate walked in, and he's like, you could hear like the sirens in the background, and he's like, "Why are you shaving your head?" Like, someone just robbed the bank? Like, like that doesn't look suspicious. Like, yeah, you probably would have been fine if you'd just been laying in bed, taking a nap in the middle of the day. But his effort to look unsuspicious only made him look more suspicious.
Well, so let's bring in my man Luigi there, Mangione from New York. Again, we talk about all the technology in the world.
Wow, really thought out plan.
But what jams this guy up?
He's flirting with some chick, right?
Is
he like, hey,
how you doing?
That's it. You're done.
Remind me to tell you a story about that, by the way. No, he's in McDonald's.
Right.
Hey,
some Joe Schmo recognized him, right?
McRibs back for a limited time or whatever, And somebody looks at him and says, "Well, that's weird," because he's sitting there in the corner of the McDonald's wearing a mask up and a toboggan pulled down, so all that you can see are those freaking eyebrows. They were all you could see from all the videos in New York. Had he just thrown a hat on backwards and put a Penn State University sweatshirt on or wherever and sat there and ate his McDonald's, he'd have been good to go. No one would have thought twice. But he's sitting there looking suspicious. And, of course, he had his backpack that had his gun and manifesto and still had his fake ID that he used to check in. So I actually went up to New York, and I rewalked all of his steps, and I photographed it all, and because I do evaluations of things like this from a technical perspective. And I went into that hostel, and I'm pretty sure, I'll bet you, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'll bet you I talked to the gal that he talked to. Super attractive, very charismatic, the kind of person you'd pull your mask down and smile at. So it's funny. I actually have I have a photograph of her. Because I do research. And but yeah, that's it. I always joke about that. Like, not in the history of any operations has a young man screwed up an operation for a
piece of
for a woman
making an attempt.
Yeah. Yeah. So
this is worth the risk.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was going to kill this guy, but if I got a shot with her, I don't know. Maybe. Why not?
But he did. Well, by the way, I have a question because last time I looked into it, they hadn't figured out the weapon. Was it a one pull? It was the one pull.
Well, no. So it was a 3D printed weapon.
Oh, it was a ghost gun.
It was a ghost gun. It was a 3D printed weapon. Andy Greenberg from Wired, who I think I've exchanged messages with Andy, but don't know him. Not a friend or anything like that. He did a great episode where he went down to a gun store in New Orleans, where he could in Louisiana, where he could 3D print. Took the same type gun, printed the gun, test fired the gun. It's the same function and everything. With the way that the receiver was printed, because it had a suppressor on it. Suppressors notoriously slow down the blowback. So I've heard potentially there's slow cycle. That's just natural with a suppressor particularly on a low caliber handgun. And so when Andy printed it, fired it, it worked just the same way it did with Luigi, where one shot and he'd have to manually cycle it because it didn't have enough blowback. And part of that was the material that it's printed from, and part of it's just the design of the gun. But yeah, so it's 3D printed gun. Louis, he's another one where I think when the final court records come out, there's going to be a lot of really interesting things that we haven't seen yet. There's a lot of interesting things we have seen, but that's.
And what was the motivation? Was the CEO had
United Healthcare.
Yeah, had spearheaded software that was denying that they knew didn't work and was denying claims that should have been claimed. Was that ultimately
I mean, the crux of it seems to be that, right? Luigi.
Are we never gonna know?
Well, I suspect this one we may know. So because I think that's going to be part, I suspect that'll be part of the defense. I don't know no inside knowledge or anything like that. But Luigi stated motivation from his manifesto and from research from it. He had back problems. He had back surgery, he had back issues, and he believed, or he articulated that he was getting denied the care that he should have gotten. And that was the whole United Healthcare, right? Denying people's claims. I mean, it's any insurance company, right? What's the first rule of insurance? Collect the money, don't pay it out. I mean, that's how insurance makes money. No offense for your insurance out there, but you know it. So that was the motivation. Was in general, it was the fight against the healthcare center. Yeah,
it's a hell of a leap from wanting to get your
claims denied. But again, if you look, so some of his literature that he was reading, a little dystopian, a little anti-government, anti-capitalist, this was take a shot at the big capitalist who's keeping the little guy down. And for him, physical pain.
Do we know that he was on these forums, or is he's just self kind of educating himself, kind of like the Unabomber thing?
Commented on a couple of books, commented on a couple of social media sites, but not an extensive. Now, I think probably the most extensive would have been his manifesto, but I don't think that's been published. Manifesto.
I was going to say, who was the first incel? Would be what the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, right? Like he was a brilliant guy.
Yeah,
he was brilliant.
Yeah,
he wrote a manifesto. His brother turned him in.
Yeah,
read the
manifesto, and it was published in the New York Times, I believe.
Yeah, read it and was like, boy, this looks a lot like Ted's writing.
That's Teddy.
Yeah,
that's Teddy.
Yeah, but also he, right thing. This guy's trying to. He's blowing people up. And the manifesto in general, his ideology for the future of America and his rant against kind of technology was just so fucking out there.
Yeah.
It's like none of that's ever gonna happen. Like, can you pick another project?
Yeah,
because you're not pulling this one off.
Yeah. All right, so Matt, let me turn the tables on you a little bit. I've got a couple of questions. I'm curious, right? So you were talking about ways that the Idaho bomber, park your car away, ride a bike in if it's not too cold. For all the criminals that you talk to and the experience that you've had, when a criminal's getting ready to commit a crime, to what extent are they researching police techniques for investigation or trying to avoid that? Have you found?
Oh, I don't think any. I think they're getting most of their information on watching movies and TVs and Law and Order and those types of some of these guys we've had one or two that have looked into maybe what the sentencing guidelines are, like how much time would they get if they got caught, or maybe some techniques of some type. And one of the people I'm thinking is, for instance, Jeff Turner, but it's nothing to do with law enforcement. He was making counterfeit U.S. Notes, right? Mm-hmm. And he at some point ended up researching the paper or the ink?
Who manufactured the paper?
Like, who was manufacturing the paper?
Yeah.
Who the government was going to?
Yeah, and so he did the. Well, no, it wasn't just. It was something.
It was probably both.
It was multiple things, but he actually it turned out that the manufacturer of the bills filed for a patent or something, and he saw and like they had no idea, like the Secret Service, and like they were like, he's like, yeah, I mean, I got the design off the patent. I just looked at, and they were like.
You buy from the same supplier, and then the North Koreans did the same thing.
Yeah, they were just like, "What? Like that's not possible." Like he's like, "No, that's," and they had no idea that it was actually out there. Yeah. And he's the one who kind of told them. But yeah, he did research, and I've had a couple other guys who've done some research, but for the most part, I don't think they've. I also don't think that a lot of those techniques and things that the government does that people necessarily know exist or would be out there. And I guess it'd have to be a lot of research. Like there's a lot of, I think there's several techniques that are probably out there that people, I'd say 90% of them but there's probably 5 or 10% that law enforcement does in general to track people down, that you don't really realize that they have the equipment to do certain things. And then you're like, oh, wow, like,
Yeah.
you know, how accessible. And I think we also believe that we have more privacy rights than we believe we have. Like people are, oh, well, they can't do that. No, come on, man, stop. You don't think that they're going to be able to figure out where you were at that time? You know, oh, they need a warrant. Do they? No.
Is it national security?
Can't we get that later?
Of course not. Law enforcement does everything by the book. No fruits of a poisonous tree or anything like that. Phones. If I'm a criminal, how do I think about my cell phone now?
It's a tracking device all day long. Yeah.
But do I think about that enough that I'm going to do something different with it? Or do I not think about that when I'm a criminal, I'm going to rob a bank, I'm going to rob a car, I'm going to rob a house, I'm going to do whatever criminal thing I'm going to do.
Well, I got a lot of.
Do I think about my cell phone?
Listen, a lot of these guys will have like 2 or 3 cell phones, and every time I talk to somebody, any of these guys that I know that have 2 cell phones, Zach, they'll have two cell phones, and I'm like, well, okay. He's like, oh, but wait a minute, that's right. I'm using my other cell phone. Why do you have 2 cell phones? Oh, just in case you need one. I'm like, no.
You don't have 2 cell phones?
I don't have there's no reason to have 2 cell phones. It's like these guys that they'll text me and then say, hey, can we talk on, what is it?
Signal.
Signal, or there's another one too.
Wicker.
Hey,
Threema, Line, I don't know.
Let's switch this over to Wicker. And I'm like, no reason to talk on Wicker. Don't need the app. They'll send me the app. Don't need the app. Thank you. There's nothing we need to have a conversation with.
I thought about that because you're like the only guy I text. You texted me and I was like, who texts?
I do.
Not me,
There's
man.
nothing. You can read anything I've read. Law enforcement can read whatever I'm not having. There's no conversations. Nothing.
Nothing?
You ain't getting me again. I'm not going back.
I'm not going back.
I learned my lesson. The judge was very, very clear. I don't even have these. And I've had many conversations. Like, bro, like if you could just
come on, bro. No, come on, man.
I'll take you to lunch, bro. I'll give you $3,000. Just talk to me for like give me 1 hour. I'll give you 3. I'll send you the money right. No. Right now, I'm already indicted. I've already been indicted.
It sounds like a criminal conspiracy to me.
It is. It absolutely. Yeah. I would never say anything. Stop it. You don't even have to say anything. When they go in front of the grand jury to indict you, they're going to say, this guy, he's did all these things. And by the way, we got
known associate with a felon.
We got 4 phone calls with this guy, Matt Cox, who's done similar things. We'd like to indict him too. And they'd be like, of course, let's indict him too. That's all we got is some phone calls.
Sounds like probable cause.
And if I was
reasonable suspicion,
if I was sitting in there with the grand jury, I you know what I'd say? Yeah, it sounds like he was involved. Throw him in there.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. He's been fucking arrested. He's a career criminal.
Well, listen, indictment doesn't mean guilty.
No, that's what I was going to say. It'll work itself out in court.
Yeah.
I can't get on the stand. I have to sit there the whole time listening to these guys. Like, I can't put me on the stand because then they'd be like, well, all they'd have to do is say, okay, yeah, I understand, Mr. Cox. You're saying you didn't do anything with this. No, I talked to a guy 4 times. I haven't know. Okay, well, have you ever been to prison before? Fuck.
Oh, come on. What for? Oh, come on. Yeah.
I wouldn't believe me. If I was on the jury,
listen,
I would
you
be
get a very believable face. I mean, when you say things like, my celly, it just makes me feel,
Yeah. That doesn't sound like you should still be in prison. I feel like you should go back.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so your phone. So you have multiple phones. But do you think about your phone when you're moving around?
In general, I don't. No. But if I was committing a crime nowadays, I would definitely think about my phone.
Okay.
Now I would.
Now you would.
Yes.
Do you think, is that common? Do you think most people are thinking about that?
I think that most criminals do not think in terms of the way I think. When I set up a scam, I was thinking
in the past.
Just
to be clear,
6 months to. I think about it all the time.
Oh.
I tell you what, I don't do anything, but I still think about it. But it's like I'm thinking 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, and then and my exit strategy. But I think most criminals are thinking, what's going on for lunch? What am I going to have for dinner? Like they're thinking maybe an hour or two. Like they're not thinking, and they're also thinking, well, if they get my phone information, it means they've got me. So it doesn't matter about my phone. Does that make sense? Like they're not. I don't think a lot of them are thinking. I'd say 95% of them are not thinking about their phone at all, even when committing crimes. Like, I think they'll go into and burglarize a house with their cell phone in their pocket. I mean, I think they're generally not making those leaps at this point. Maybe a little bit, but that's what, 5%? 1 out of 20 guys?
Yeah. How about
I could start asking for
how
you.
about, no. I'm just curious.
We could start.
I'm just curious. I've been doing a lot of reading recently about database policing and about advanced technical ways to solve crimes. And it's interesting because I live in a community where people are like, everybody already knows that. No one would do this. No one would take their phone to a place. And I'm like, man.
But these guys don't think like that. These are criminals. They're not thinking normally.
I don't hang out with these guys. So I'm asking. I don't hang out with you. How about your car? Are you thinking about your car when you're committing a crime? The amount of information that your car collects and throws off. Are you thinking about that?
I mean, if I were doing something like that, I would. And I only would because I watch so many documentaries on YouTube about, and listen, every time it's like, well, he said he was here, but we got his phone, or I'm sorry, we got his car data, and he was actually right here. You know, it's like he said he was here, he's over here. This is where the person was killed. You know, or even if he left his phone here, they're never thinking about their cars.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, in my opinion, they're almost never thinking about the car, because it can't be, because I watch listen to these true crime things where they kill 2 people, or they think out the entire crime. They got disguises. They got guns that they stole from somewhere. They got all these things. And it's like, yeah, but you drove your car to the fucking place where you shot the guy and you came back. You might as well have bought the gun in your own name.
Right.
Like, you might as well have registered the gun. You might as well kept your cell phone with you. Because you drove your fucking car. Yeah, I know, but I switched the tag, see?
Yeah.
I switched the tag. Oh. That changed everything.
Yeah.
Or I saw one guy who they were asking him, like, is this your car? He's like, no, it's not my car. And they go, why? He said, well, my car's got a sticker on the back, and this doesn't have a sticker. So he thought he was clever because he had removed the, Dad of the Year sticker when he killed his baby mama.
Right.
Then he stuck it back. So he's like, yeah. Of course, there was a what did you call the old person? Old
Lop.
There was a
little old person.
Yeah,
Lop.
there's like a lop next door that was like, I remember when he took the sticker off the car. I thought that was weird. So, but he put it back. This is a real one too, by the way.
No, listen. I teach a case study of a guy. Do you remember the very attractive female jogger down in Knoxville, Chattanooga, Memphis? Memphis, a handful of years ago, she was out jogging and she got kidnapped and ultimately killed.
Oh.
And you know how it is. Justice is equal for everybody. Now, the fact that she was an attractive young lady and her grandfather was a billionaire had nothing to do with how swift the cops put that one together.
Right.
But when they put it together, right, they find the guy. Why? Because he took the car where he kidnapped her, and they walked it all the way back, and they found the car. And my man was thinking about the car because he borrowed it from his boss, which I loved. Hey, boss, can I borrow your car? I gotta, run some errands here.
That'll never track it back to me. If the police show up and show this photo of me, do you know this man?
Right.
Or did anybody borrow your car? My boss isn't going to remember.
We're not going to rat you out. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, totally.
Can't believe he told on me.
The other thing that I really appreciated from that particular forensic reconstruction was they had the guy on camera cleaning out the car afterwards, where he's making trips back and forth from his house to the car with his trash bags and his mop bucket and all the other things. But anyway, I wonder about that, because it always seems like in retrospect, when you put these things together from a technical perspective, well, it's obvious. Why would everybody knows, DNA, everybody knows the car and the phone and the wearables and they used his credit card to buy the trash bags at the Home Depot that he wrapped the girl's body in.
Well, I mean, I always love the guys that we'll get the same type of guys that are like, well, where'd you get the credit cards that you stole this guy's identity? You ordered a bunch of credit cards in his name. Where'd you get them mailed to? And they're like, I got them. No. Did you have them mailed to your house? No. Like, I'm not stupid. I had them mailed to my sisters.
Right.
Because when the cops show up and show your photo, your sister's not going to say, that's my brother. What'd he do? Like, your brother, trust me, your sister already hates you. She grew up with you. She already hates you.
You know about my family?
So and if you think your sister's gonna fucking take it on the chin for you and be like, I ain't talking to you, they're gonna put it together. Like, come on, man, you got 3 credit cards mailed to her house. She's gonna say, or if she's a good citizen, what she's gonna do, because good citizens brother or not, they cooperate with police.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh my gosh, that's my brother. Why are you showing me a picture of my brother?" Like they're thinking this is a police officer.
Yeah.
He's trying to do something. There's a picture of my brother. Something's going on. I need to help him.
Yeah.
Maybe my brother's in trouble. Maybe he's done something wrong. I still need to help.
Yeah.
And they're gonna say that, and that's that's just what happens. I think that you cannot rely on a square person to help you as a criminal. That's a mistake. They're going to go with the government.
They're going to roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Weakest link.
Absolutely.
Weakest link. Absolutely. What's that old saying? If you want to keep a secret between, the only way to keep a secret between two people is if one of them's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is, does law enforcement have the ability? Let's say you're in an area, and they say, okay, well, we know that the perpetrator had to be in this general area in a vehicle that has, whatever, it's this kind of a vehicle maybe. Can they go and say, okay, what vehicles with this makeup were there during this time, and then track it back all the way to like its location, or find the tag, or, you know what I mean? Like that, because that's huge. Mm-hmm. Is that something that maybe?
What do you think?
Possible.
What do you think?
I think if they don't, they will within the next 6 months, because things are happening. So with AI, that's happening. So what happens in 5 years from now when you sit down and you just feed it into Grok 2.0 or something, and you just tell it this is what happened and this is what's going on, who is it, and it calculates everything and says, oh, it's Todd James and here's where he lives.
Yeah. So 2 things. One, I'm going to give you a PSA because this just came up yesterday morning. For the love of Christ, don't use Grok or AI for facts. Use it to write. Use it for ideas. Use it for something like that. But if you rely on it for facts, you are going to get screwed over.
Yeah.
That's just a PSA. It's on top of my mind.
I think about the lawyers that have been, multiple lawyers that have been caught writing. Have you heard of this?
Morons.
They're having it write motions for it, and it will give them case law. And they're, of course, using the case law. They're reviewing the motion and sending it in. And
doesn't exist.
Right. And then the prosecution gets it and says, well, I need to look up the case law so that I can give them a rebuttal in my in my motion in my response. And when they look it up, they come back and they're like, Your Honor, there's 6 case laws here. None of these fucking case laws exist. And then the judges are like, did you use ChatGPT to write this? And they're like, well, my assistant, they was like, it's my paralegal.
Screw that guy.
I can't believe it, Your Honor. They insisted.
Firing them right now.
Yeah.
No, listen. So I'm fascinated.
It'll lie to you.
I'm fascinated by AI because I think it's going to make good people better because we know how to think through and use it responsibly. And it's going to make lazy people lazier. And they're going to get jammed up. If I said, hey, what are the 6 cases that relate to this particular, for the 4th Amendment related to this coffee cup? Fine, it can give them to me. Now I'm going to do the work and I'm going to research them and I'm going to find and make sure that's true.
You better.
I'm great.
Yeah.
If I just go, oh, great, here's the 6 cases, Starbucks v. Cox.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist. Yeah. Okay, anyway, so yes. So 1, 2. Back to your question. How would I track a car today? Right? Let's say that you robbed the Hard Rock Casino down the road here and you drove back here. How would I track your car?
I guess it could be. Isn't there? What was the name of that Swift service or something? There's some new thing that they're putting up basically everywhere. It's cameras now that are tracking like vehicles through their tag numbers, but also through right now you got the red light cameras. I don't know if those are taking photographs constantly. But you could also, I would also think maybe satellites. Like I don't know how much data. Jesus, the stuff that they're
25 gigabytes an hour a car produces.
So my car, you mean, is that being captured on images, or my car is uploading that? Because
your car is in general, right? And again, it's technology. It's wide ranges, and it depends on the type of car. But for a connected car, right? So cars have cell phone. Cars have MZs and IMZs. They have SIM cards. They're their own Wi-Fi hotspots.
But are they all connected?
Since 2008, in general,
I'm good.
Cars are connected.
My vehicle's a 2007.
Yes, but you definitely don't use your phone in there.
I do. Oh, I have my phone.
Oh, yeah, for but you definitely don't have a GPS.
And I do it everywhere. By the way, if I go home and I can get myself home from here without any help.
Your GPS.
I still like to hit it because I like to look at the little thing.
You want to know the traffic?
Yeah,
of course. So, cars are collecting a tremendous amount of data, right? And they're storing it and transmitting it. That's internally. Externally, like you said, the license plate readers. License plate readers are great. Let's talk about another one. The second second acknowledged Trump assassination attempt, the one that happened down at Mar-a-Lago, where we had the shooter in the tree line, and the Secret Service engaged him before he had a chance to take a shot at the president. He fled, ran to his car, jumped in his car, drove away. There is a great video I use in my training where the chief of police describes the whole incident. Someone sees him run out of the bushes, jump in this car, drive away. They take a picture of the guy and the car with the license plate. Lop. Freaking lops, man. Lops. Calls it into the cops. The cops call it into the call it into the real-time crime center. They push that plate out to all the license plate readers in the area. Trips a license plate reader, gets pulled over by a cop. He's in custody 20 minutes afterwards. Whereas before, forget about it. What are you going to see? I don't know, white guy coming out of the bushes. It was a black or brown sedan or SUV. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now with the tag and the dude that took the picture, the lop, here's the plate. Plate's on the the license plate reader detectors, and they've got him in custody 25 minutes later.
Right. I was just thinking about Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah. Got to get that deposit back, brother. Got to get that deposit back.
He got pulled over. He's driving. Was it a stolen car with a no tag? I mean, it was like the whole thing it's like everything was screaming. Like you put this whole thing together. Yeah. All that planning, looked into everything. And then your getaway vehicle screams, pull me over.
Yeah. Well, so, okay. I'll give you another one. This is fascinating. When you're a criminal, hypothetically speaking, are you planning through your crime, or are you planning then after your crime as well? Because sometimes what I feel like is people are planning and right up to the execution of what I call execution of the operation, but aren't necessarily thinking through the backside of that. Tim McVeigh, perfect example. Your other one, Luigi. Luigi shoots the guy in Manhattan, does his thing, transverses through Central Park, gets on the bus, heads out of town. Life's good. When I saw that, I said, this dude's gone. He's gone. 3 days later, he's sitting in a McDonald's wearing a mask in the stocking hat with his bag, with his gun and his manifesto. It's almost like whether he thought he was going to get caught or something like that, didn't have the plan.
Yeah.
Tyler Robinson, same way. The Kirk assassination. Did the assassination, but left the rifle behind. And now he didn't plan to get caught, according to the text with his partner. But so how much thought goes into the afterwards? How you're going to handle the money that you stole? How if you're going to launder it? How what does it look like after that? How much time are you spending on that?
I mean, for me, mine was pretty easy because I just, as soon as I got all the money I was getting out of that person, then it depends. There's two different. It depends on the scam. If I was on the run already, then I just dumped everything. Like, I mean, I threw everything associated with that person away, and then the
persona that you were using to conduct the scam.
Yes,
right.
And that includes like the vehicles, the house, like I up and moved
Burn
to
a
completely different area, completely different name, completely different legend. Let's say, and these guys are gone now. If it was a scam like I ran in Tampa, what I did was, after I got all the money, I continued to make the mortgage payments for at least 5 or 6 months. And then I stopped paying all the mortgages, all the personal loans, all the credit cards at the same time. And then I would take an article for like a 12-car pile up on like I-4, and where someone was life flighted, and I'd copy, paste it, I put my guy's name in it, and then I'd cut it up, reprint it on newsprint, and make copies of that. And that way, when the banks foreclosed and they started, or in the process of the foreclosure, they would start to mail letters to you saying, hey, you're going to go into collections. Hey, once it got the collections and you actually get kind of a letter from somebody, that's when I would write a letter from my fake person's sister saying, hey, my brother was in a catastrophic car accident. He was life flighted to Tampa General Hospital, currently in a coma. Doctors say even if he wakes up, he'll never work again. Here's the article. Highlight the name. I understand you're in the process of foreclosing on the house. He's not going to be able to fight that foreclosure. By all means, take the house. We won't be showing up. He won't be showing up at any court dates.
Did that work?
It always worked. It always worked. You understand? When I took off on the run, the only reason they ever found out that I'd stolen like $11.5 million was because a buddy of mine got caught and told them. That scam, these houses are going in foreclosure. They're being placed back on the market. They're being resold. And all the money's being charged off. $100,000 here, $120,000 here, $110,000 here. And they're just like, yeah, the guy was in an accident. They're like, he didn't exist. But that was okay. That was part of kind of closing it out.
What years were that?
This was 2002 and 2003 for 2 years. So I always say call it maintenance. Yeah. Like the problem with most guys is that they don't complete the maintenance.
They don't complete the operation.
Scam, right? Yeah. They get the money and they're so happy. They're like, woo, woo, and then they run off. And like you said, they run off and they've still got the driver's license. They're still driving the car that they were driving. They still got like they're still getting mail to their address for the stolen identity. They're still like, you didn't think this all the way through. And let's face it, even if you think it all the way through, there's always the fly in the ointment. But there's a good chance that law enforcement doesn't come up with that because there's so much data there, right? So every once in a while, there's going to be something you can't account for, a photograph or somebody remembers you or something, I've been like almost all the times I was caught was because it was something that I just could not account for. The mistake somebody made that ended up getting me in trouble. But you just can't account for everything.
How about what you hear from the guys that are conducting theft or murder or something like that? I don't know, probably murderers aren't talking too awful much, but what's their long-term play? Is it just, hey, I'm going to get away with this? I'm going to ditch the gun, ditch the car, ditch the clothes, call it a day. And I'll just never say anything to anybody.
I think most of those guys, the murders are so they happen. They're not really premeditated. And if they are, it's only by we know that this guy is going to be here and we're going to kill him because this is, I'm thinking of a guy that we have.
Hours, days, target of opportunity.
Days. Yeah, exactly. That's all they're thinking about is how to pull off because they're mob, it's mob related. Those guys aren't thinking really clearly. And I was going to say the other guys that it was spur of the moment, right? Like we had a guy here that he killed like a good friend of his and in his apartment and dismembered him and then threw away the
Did he plan to dismember him in the apartment or was that just a feature of I killed him in the apartment? Now what do I do with him?
Exactly. That's what he was like. What
I
do I
watched
do?
Goodfellas last night, get the steak knife.
Dragged him in the tub, let him sit there for like a day and then drank a 6-pack to get up the courage to just cut him up. If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above. That's where Ghost Bed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, Ghost Bed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use code Cox at the checkout. And honestly, when he describes cutting them up, he does it in such a way that it was, for he's a street guy, right? He was extremely articulate, and he described it in a way that was chilling, but in a way where he explains that as a regular person, you live in this kind of tunnel that you're in, and he's like, and you function in that tunnel as a human. And he talks about how when he had to dismember this guy, he said, I stepped outside. He said, I stepped outside that tunnel, and he went, and I could see myself doing it. He said, so it becomes surreal. He said, and once it was completed, he said, I realized I'll never be able to be back in that kind of that group of humanity that everybody functions in that tunnel. He's like, and I'll always be outside of it. And I'm not saying it as good as he did, but when he said it, man, it was just like the fucking goosebumps. I mean, he did it so well. And by the way, he was genuinely like a nice guy. Like, he went to prison for this. He did all that. And he was deeply disturbed by what he had done and had said it irrevocably changed who he was. And he would never be able to integrate back into being like, I don't know, I don't think he said human, but his humanity was gone, that he'd lost. I always feel bad about that because his video didn't do great, but he was amazing. Because that's what I'm concerned about. Views.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
But it was like, wow. But once again, he didn't think it. He committed the crime, and then afterwards he had to think about, what am I going to do now? So he has to do this, and then he puts it in bags and little duffel bags, and then he gets rid of it in different places. And that's actually why he ended up getting 15 years. He was supposed to get 30, then they lowered it to 15.
Mm-hmm.
No, they lowered 30 to 25, then 20. And he said, unless I can get it to 15, he said, I'm going to go to trial. And the family said, look, if you'll just tell us where the rest of the body is, because they'd only found pieces. They said, just tell us, and and they said, we'll give you 15. He said, so I led them to where I deposited the bodies.
How did they catch him?
It was like there were people in the apartment. That, and he's thinking, the street code. They're not going to say anything. It was like a buddy of his girlfriend told.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, was it also the girlfriend of the guy that he killed was there? Was she there?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah,
I think she told also. Yeah. But a lot of these people, part of the reason he got so little time, a lot of these people weren't testifying. Like they were still gang people, and they didn't want to testify. So even if you said, hey, this person killed my good friend, I'm going to testify. In that realm, those people are still like, no, you don't cooperate. It's like, yeah, but he killed my, I'm not going to be able to, there's no street justice. This person's locked up. I'm never getting to this person.
Right.
Like, so what? He gets to get let go?
Right.
So he ends up taking 15 years, and now he does podcasts and TikToks.
Thank God I was going to say he has a butcher shop or something.
No.
Horrible. He's a French chef now. He's really good at chopping up the meat. It's fascinating. And as I ask these questions, I just think back to my own Rolodex of experiences and whatnot. And Kohlberger, right, our Idaho University murderer, PhD, criminology.
Smart guy.
Prior to committing his crime, he had went out on Reddit and was conducting research for his PhD, which makes sense, where he says, tell me what you were thinking.
Right.
Before your crime, what were you thinking after your crime? How did you decide? How did you choose your victim? And all this stuff that if you're reading it from the perspective of someone pursuing a PhD and conducting research, makes sense. But in retrospect, you look at it and you're like, oh, this dude was getting some ideas.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I'm asking you all these questions, I'm like, I hope I'm not coming off a little Kohlberger-y here, where I'm asking, so if I were to, walk out today and stab someone in the face, how would I get away with it? Obviously not my intention, but
how hard do you think it is to get away with something with today's technology and all this tracking, GPS? Like, how hard is it to get away? Because, Matt just interviewed someone who they were hijacking planes and, almost get away with hijacking planes. Like, they don't know who this guy is. That was in the 70s. How easy these insane crimes were. Like, what about today?
Yeah, so the question about how easy I think it would be to get away with some significant crime today with all the advanced technology.
Yeah. It depends on how much thought process it goes into it, right?
I think it depends.
How much time, how much money?
Yeah. Well, and as you said, there's always going to be loose ends. Because the thing you can't account for me is the soft part of it, right? The stress, the adrenaline, the no plan ever survives first contact sort of thing. I think it's a lot more difficult today. If you're not understanding and accounting for all these threats, I think there's a lot of loose ends. But the other thing I always go back to, if someone's looking. Right?
What do you mean?
If someone's looking. If you've created a big enough issue that someone's going to look. Matt, no one was looking for your things because they wrote it off.
Yeah, nobody thought they'd been
There's no
defrauded.
crime,
Yeah.
right? There was no crime, so no investigation.
The way they looked at it was some guy who's qualified, who has a job, bought a house, he made a few payments, he stopped paying. Like, that happens.
Listen, if you hear hoofbeats, you think horse, you don't think zebra.
Right.
So you closed the loop and you gave them everything they were looking for. It didn't cost them any money. It wasn't coming out of their pocket. They were risk adjusters, and they were people that got paid to, cross a T and dot an I, and that's what you gave them. And so there was no crime.
And I was going to say, I gave them a reason.
No reason to
And
look.
They had a reason. They also
That's
had a
it.
reason that this had happened,
That's
and
it.
that makes sense.
That's it. That's it. So I guess that's it for me is, in today's world, if you're conducting a crime that's big enough that there is a victim and there is going to be an investigation and you're, where you rack and stack, I think it's relatively easy. But I also, look at it and I think there's a lot of things that go on a day-to-day basis. And how much of it get looked at?
Right.
How much of it gets looked at?
That's another thing, right?
What are the resources?
What are the resources? And if there's X amount of murders that take place in Chicago, and you only have so many
cops, so many prosecutors.
They all get a cursory look.
Yep.
But the ones that are easiest to solve are the ones that get solved. The ones that you're going to, oh no, this is going to take a considerable amount of hours to solve if it's even possible. It's like, do we spend the next 300 hours on this, or do we we can solve this one for 60 hours, this one in 40 hours, this one in 30 hours, this one in 70 hours. Like we can solve 6 as opposed to maybe serving this one.
Yeah.
Like how much resources do you want to
expend?
Right.
And that's where I go back to the case I was talking about earlier about the female that was kidnapped and murdered in Memphis. All justice is equal, right? Everyone's going to conduct the same enthusiastic investigation on every crime. However, in the real world,
yeah,
you murder someone that people care about, or that people are going to be resourced, or it's going to have some media flair, some sizzle, some whatever, that there's going to be interest in it, you're going to get a lot more investigative resources. You murder someone, unfortunately, that doesn't have all that going for them. If it's an easy one, of course they're going to solve it. Yeah. But, so, I don't know. Back to the question. I don't know. It depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's also how much did that person put into how much work? Like how much if you have a chunk of money and you have if you prepare and you have enough time, you can come up with there are scams out that you can come up with that aren't solvable necessarily, or at least there aren't really detectable. Yeah.
Well, you have to put some thought into this. I can see
tons of thought into. I think all the time, and I've but I mean, I was never rushed. I never did something right away. Like I never thought about something and then within an hour or two pulled off a scam. My scams required time, and so as a result, you become very, very patient and you wait, and you realize too, the longer I wait, the better this person looks, right? If you're building a legend, the longer the more history there, the more legit that person looks. The more legit they look, the less likelihood that people look into it as being part of the scam, right?
Yeah.
They think this is a legitimate person that did this and it went bad. Maybe he's in bankruptcy. And I've done that too. I've gone down and gotten the bankruptcy forms from the federal bankruptcy court in no, it's on the way to Clearwater. Anyway, and gotten that there's a form you can send to all of your creditors, and I've mailed those out to the creditors. Mm-hmm. They just stopped. They stopped mailing you letters. They're waiting for the court to notify them of when the bankruptcy hearing is going to be. Mm-hmm. And most of these places, if they lost $7,000 or $12,000, they're not even showing up. We're not sending a lawyer down there to try and be a part of a bankruptcy for $12,000, or we're not doing that. Now, maybe if they lost $100,000, they might, but they don't get notified ever. Mm-hmm. And eventually they forget about it or whatever. Maybe they show back up. You get
put on the bottom of the stack of a guy they'll get to and they get to.
Right.
And
I mean, this person's claiming bankruptcy. We're never seeing our money. But it just depends on how thorough you want to be on some of the scams.
Yeah.
On whether you could get away with it. But if it's something like murder or something, I can't imagine. Unless it's a long I can't. The idea that. And the consequences are so high. You know what's funny? Before I took off on the run, I'm sure it happens all the time, but before I took off on the run, I had a friend that was going to college, and he was from Iran, whatever. He was from the Middle East, and he was coming here.
Iran, but that's fine.
Iran.
Iran. There you go. That's fine.
So he was here. He was going to school, and as soon as he was done with school, he was going back. He was never coming back. There was no reason to come back. He's like, no, I'm going back. I'm going to work for this and do this and do this. And so what he had decided was, and he had perfect credit. And so my mutual friend said, he basically has about $40,000 or $50,000 worth of credit cards that he's going to run up. He said in the last 6 months, I'll run up all my credit cards, buy everything, start shipping things back, get as much cash advances, and leave because I'll never come back to the United States. And he said, Iran will not. They were not extraditing. Even if they said this is fraud, they're not extraditing a citizen. He goes, and I'm not. He said, and to be honest, he said, almost all of my friends that are all of them are doing the exact same thing he was doing, except for the ones that believe that they would be wanting to come back to the United States at some point. And she only came to me because she said, what if he bought a bunch of houses? Like if you could, we're going to jack up the price. Like we'll go in and buy a house for $50,000. Get it appraised at $200,000, have him come in and buy the house at 100% LTV, loan to value, pull out the $150,000, and then he gets 75 and I get 75. She goes, he can buy 5 houses. She's like, that's like he'll be going back there, even if he goes back and he's only got $350,000 or $400,000, it'd be like going back there and that's like $4 or $5 million over there. And she's like, he'll do that. And she's like, we could make $300,000, $350,000. I was like, wow. I took off before I did it, but we were in the process of doing that. We were going to just go buy some cheap shithole houses and have it because I had jacked the area up. I could get the appraisals, but that never happened. So I think, how many of those scams happen where some guy comes in here? Same thing though. That was time. He had time and money. He came here, a university student, and over the course of several years built up an amazing credit profile and had about $50,000 worth of available credit to him. That's something that takes time and planning, and he had an escape. He had an afterthought. I'll never come back.
Yeah.
How often does that happen, I wonder?
Man, that is interesting. Because that gets into another question I was going to ask you. If you had to do it again today and you were creating these personas or these synthetic IDs,
right?
Would you create one whole cloth or would you take someone's ID? Or now you've given me a third option. Would you buy someone's ID that was leaving and never coming back? And now you're Mahmoud Ahmadzadeh.
No, I would. It's bad, bro. It's a bad question. It's not gonna look good. You're not making me look good here. If I was to be,
we're hypothetically, right? If I was
you were to take morality out of it.
No, hold on. Here's what we'll do, right? Let's chat GPT it, right? It's all about the prompt. So if I were writing a story for a fiction novel, and aliens were going to come down to America now and impersonate people, how would the aliens do it?
I would probably. I'm a big fan of stealing homeless people's identities. Don't judge me. Don't.
Now, do you steal it or do you buy it?
No. I trick them. You don't want them to know. You go in. I used to make a survey. It was 17 questions, and it was like, and I had a statistical survey badge that said I was a statistical surveyor. And when I would go around and I'd say, hey, excuse me, I'm taking surveys for the Salvation Army to try and determine where we're going to place our next homeless facility. Would you? I'm like, I'm assuming, are you homeless? And they'd be like, yeah. I go, okay, well, look, I'm taking a survey. They go, oh, I'm not interested. No, it pays $20 cash right now. You're going to pay me right now, $20 cash right now. And I'd show them a couple of 20s, and I go, right now, bro. 17 questions, no big deal, real easy. And they go, okay. I go, look. And then I'd say, I need to see something with your name on it and stuff, because I said, don't give me any bad information, bro, okay? Because I get paid like $40. And if I take it and give you 20, you just fuck it. And they're like, no, I'll tell you. Okay, great. And then they show me a social security card or something. Okay, great. And I write name, date of birth, social security number, what county, state were you born in? Have you ever had a valid driver's license, ID? You ever had a passport? You ever been in the military? Are you currently receiving SSI, social security, disability, or whatever? So I go through all the basic questions. Where'd you go to high school? That sort of thing. All things I need to steal your identity. What was your mother's maiden name? Just for a security question. I get all that information. They give it to me, and I give them the $20. Thanks, good luck, bro. And I go and I go online. I'd run their credit. First, I wouldn't pull their credit. The first thing I do is I just order their birth certificate, order a copy of their social security card. Then sometimes I would register to vote in their name.
Where would you send it?
No, I would never do it in the state they were in, by the way.
Okay.
So it depends. I would sometimes, if it was something where I was setting something up, I could mail it to the house I was in, or I would just find an abandoned house and I'd have everything mailed there, or I'd have it mailed to one of the they used to have mailboxes, etc. Now it's
Yep.
shit.
Mailboxes.com, UPS.
Yeah. I'd have it mailed there, and of course, sometimes the credit cards, because I of course order credit cards in their name, and sometimes the credit cards, and they would be like, "Oh no, this is a mailboxing receiving station." They say if we're wrong, let us know. Send us a utility bill. So I take a utility bill, I just change it to make it look like no, it's just an apartment, and I'd send them a utility bill. Like, what are you talking about? They, oh, sorry, and they mail me the card. But usually, sometimes it would be an abandoned house or to whatever. If I would be living somewhere as someone else anyway, and I'm going to abandon this at some point. So I would just mail it there. So I'd order 3 secure credit cards, build up their credit. So what I would do is I would do the same thing, steal somebody's identity. I would probably build up their credit of some type. And if I could keep an eye on this person, the ideal situation would be to keep an eye on the person. So in my opinion, I would build some kind of a scam using a cell phone in that person's name, using everything in that person's name. Maybe even bank accounts, maybe even whatever I need in that person's name. Then go, and I'd probably do a very easy scam where I would most likely I would just go buy, or you could do an Airbnb, just get an Airbnb and run some kind of a scam with the Airbnb, rent it out for a month or so, go and satisfy the loans, any loans on the house, transfer the warranty deed into his name, open up a couple bank accounts in his name, and then either sell the house or borrow from hard money lenders or private lenders, borrow 3 or 4 mortgages at the same time in that person's name. And then once that's done, same thing, laptop in person's name, the whole thing. When the whole thing is said and done, I would say that once you've got the money, you've pulled the money out, I would then turn around and I would go back to that guy and I would give him his cell phone, his computer, some money, as much stuff as I could. I'd probably ask him to hold some documents, whatever it is, I'd ask him to hold and keep, in the hope that once I took off with the money and law enforcement looked into it and said, hey, there's $1 million missing here, that they'd track him back somehow to the cell phone and grab him and arrest him, and he'd go to jail, and it'd take a year or 2 before they figured out that he had nothing to do with it. And that just puts him that far off, because everything's going to lead to him. Now, if he has a criminal record, it's that much better. Like if you could actually find a guy that he's done fraud charges, stop judging, had fraud charges, and you did that, and he's got some kind of mental problem, which most of these guys do, whoo, stop it. I'm home free. Even if somehow or another it led to me at some point, the likelihood that I'm going to be charged or found guilty of anything, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
This guy had everything on him. When you caught him, he was using his cell phone, especially now since they have cell phones. You could call him on his own cell phone that you eventually drop off. So you could call him, hey, buddy, how you doing? Just checking on you. Do you need any money? Man, I met this guy on the street. I took a survey. He likes me now. He's like kind of like acting like a social worker. He stops by every once in a while. He gives me money. He calls me. We talk on the phone. Like, how LinkedIn are you? You're completely fucked. When the cops show up, even say, that number I get calls for, that's some guy I met one time. They're going to be like, stop it, bro. I see you got the laptop. You're using the cell phone. You got the cell phone. He's got some problems. And I feel bad for even thinking along those lines.
Yeah.
I would never do that. That's wrong. But if you take morality out of it,
I think let's agree. Morally reprehensible.
Right. Yeah.
Never do it. Sounds horrible.
But think about this.
As a story for a fiction book.
Of course. If they did track him back, once they get a hold of him, the likelihood that they even go and pull photographs or any type of, and even if they do pull some shit from a camera that's 30 feet away in a bank, you know, maybe if you were to, or even better, what if you actually get some photographs of this guy and get one of those fucking masks or something and you go pulling out? As long as he's linked in, he's probably going to do some time.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to make a great witness. Stop rubbing your head, Colby. Like, Colby's like, Jesus, I can't play this. This might make a good fucking thing. I don't know.
Like, I
Could
don't
make
know.
a good
I feel
short.
like this is going to cost us more for lawyers than it will to.
Yeah, no,
or fans.
This will be a TikTok. This will be. A
But
TikTok.
how amazing is it? Because even then, it's like you've got that. Like law enforcement would just be baffled. They'd be like, I don't know. Like, did the guy saying he took a survey? If he remembers a survey, he has all the stuff. There are phone calls.
No, I feel like this would be one where, you know, obviously he's lying because the preponderance of technical evidence says it's this. It obviously was him. How could he have perpetuated this complex scam? Don't know. Maybe he had an accomplice. Doesn't matter.
Even if
he's going to.
Yeah. Even if they have some photos.
Right.
And keep in mind too, you could always. That's the kind of guy that could go open up bank accounts for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the guy. If he speaks well enough, you could say, "Listen, man, would you mind go and open up a bank account? I'll give you $500 to go open a bank account."
Yeah.
He opens up 2 or 3 bank accounts. You get him to do 1 or 2 things. Even if they say, "Okay, we think he had a partner," and they have some photographs,
right.
They still got the main guy. Everything's in his name. He's going to be. He may be the. You know, the mastermind of the whole organization as far as law enforcement's concerned. He's probably going to do 5, maybe 10 years.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of is one of the early scenes of Ozark where Marty has the gal, I forget what her name, Ruth. They go
love
to
her.
Yeah,
Go
Ruth. Ruthie, man, she's tough. Where he takes her to the bank to the ATM and he puts the money in the bag and then has her actually put it into the ATM.
Oh, he says you're now a part
and
of
now
it.
you're now in front of the bank camera and now you're a part of this. And so you say whatever you want, but you're in it for a penny, in it for a pound at this point.
Yeah. It's the same thing. And the great thing is that this guy probably doesn't know anything. He doesn't realize there's been a scam committed at all. So when law enforcement gets him, everything that he's saying, they just think is a lie.
Yeah, 100%.
You're just lying. You're lying. You're lying.
Right.
And my God, you had money.
Right.
And or even better, this is horrible. You give him enough money. He dies. He overdoses on drugs or something, and then you don't have. I feel bad.
Listen,
I feel bad.
The rest of this I can sit and listen to, but at this point I'm gonna have to cover my face. I just want to be very clear.
You give him $10,000, he's probably not making it.
Don't edit this part out.
Well, you see, Matt. You know, he says, "I feel bad. I feel bad." The issue is the TikTok ends after. The great part is if you give him enough money, he dies. That's where the TikTok
That's exactly
ends.
where I want to be very clear. This is what I'm giving the, you know.
Even if they grabbed me, but he's deceased, and they say, "Well, you went into the bank as this and this," and you just say, "I'm just not going to talk." Like, they're not going to prosecute you.
Juxtaposed where he's talking and my hand is in my head.
No, he's going to cut one of the parts where you're going.
Yeah, well, I'm going. That's what I would do. That was our technique.
Former
CIA officer talks about killing homeless people to furtherance of scam. Copy at 5. We knew it.
I was just gonna say that might be in that first 10 second.
That'll
clip
be the hook. Yeah, of course.
And you're laughing, and then it goes right into you.
CIA
you
officer
talking.
with homeless person kills Candace Owens, and
So, all right, yeah, good times.
yeah, it's good. It's good.
What are we at now? 2:20. Do you want to wrap this up, Colby, or then do another one?
Do we have a theme in here?
I have
anywhere?
I have a theme for the next one.
Okay, yeah. Let's wrap this up. I do have one final question. So,
Are you done? I'm sorry. Are you finished?
Yeah. Is there any points that you want have left to make? My thing is, do you think foreign governments or foreign people, whatever agencies, were involved with the Kirk shooter, or do you think it's a possibility? Do you think it was or was not? And yeah, I guess kind of give your final thoughts on that. I know there's like a bunch of conspiracies and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the question was, do I think that foreign influences, foreign agents, foreign intelligence services, foreign governments, foreign anything was involved in the Kirk assassination? That was the question. I have not seen any information to suggest that was the case. Some of the conspiracies I've seen about mysterious planes flying around and whatever shadowing
Right.
Kirk and all that. So that to me is it betrays credibility. Too many things have to happen for a plane to fly around the U.S. and not be known or anything like that. So I am not inclined to think that it was as direct as that. Now, I am also not inclined to completely dismiss the possibility that there's some foreign influence in some of these groups that are trying to encourage violence, particularly against public figures. And the win for the external actors is chaos. Kill a conservative, kill a liberal, it doesn't matter. It's chaos, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get us to pull ourselves apart from the inside because they know that's the only way that they can defeat us. They can be a better country than us is if we diminish ourselves.
Sow dissent.
Yeah, sow dissent. That's it. And so tactically on this one, I haven't seen any indications of it. I haven't seen anything that leads me to think that it is valid for this particular case. Do I think this is happening overall? Using fancy terms like cognitive warfare? Do I think that this is a form of unconventional warfare that the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians and other people that would like to see us fail are sowing here in this country? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I can't, nothing that would lead me to believe any of these attacks, murders, incidents that we've discussed today have anything to do with foreign influence behind them.
Right.
Except for the ones where I said the Iranians literally were trying to find surrogates here to kill Pompeo and Bolton and President Trump, and you know, I mean that was happening,
right?
According to press reports.
So as far as foreign influences, it's that they can't pinpoint, they're not influencing in such a way that they're pinpointing. We're hoping to get someone to kill Kirk. They're just influencing in the way that we're just hoping to sow dissent within the political scene in the United States to help so that they can continue to tear themselves apart, so that they focus less on external things. And
I mean, look, if a year from now some chat logs were laid out and we uncovered an internet persona that was, Russian military intelligence colonel, Vlad Bag of Donuts, was masquerading as a young furry and was influencing one of these kids to do one of these attacks or conduct one of the young men to conduct one of these attacks, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
I have not seen any evidence that would suggest that has been the case. But to me, that isn't a conspiracy. That's just a operation that was conducted and had wild success from their perspective, if it happened. But again, I'm not saying that that's happened. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I haven't seen any evidence or indications that that's happening here, but I'm also not privy to the type of information or intelligence that I would see it necessarily.
Do you think foreign agencies or adversaries of the United States maybe aren't targeting like solo people for solo missions, but just the overall climate of division?
Okay, so the question, do I think that foreign agents are targeting the overall climate in the U.S.? 1,000%. That is... look, the Gerasimov doctrine from Russian military, I think empirically, unequivocally, we have seen that there are what we would call covert action, what other people would call active measures or disinformation. There are all these fancy terms for it. Unrestricted warfare, if you're the Chinese. 100% that they are trying to sow dissent within our country. They're trying to erode our trust in democratic institutions. They're trying to erode our trust in individuals, in our democratic system, in the integrity of our voting. You name it, they're trying to sow dissent here. 1,000%. And I don't even think that's a question. I don't even think that's a question. Now, again, grow up, Peter Pan. It's the world. Nation states that have the capability conduct covert influence, covert action, disinformation, active measures, unrestricted warfare to shape an environment. Mm-hmm. That's just the way the world works. It always has, always will. And I think one of the fascinating things now you got to get off on a little bit of a tangent, it's not just nation states. It's individuals who are high net worth people who are acting like nation states. The George Soroses of the world and the Bill Gates of the world and the other people of the world that are using their money and influence to shape the world in the way they want it to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, again, that's probably not new. Andrew Carnegie, we all go to Carnegie libraries and Carnegie Mellon University and this, that, and the other. Affluent people have used their resources to shape the world the way they want it. Henry Ford did some wacky stuff up in Detroit. People do it. Get it, understand it. But yeah, but it's happening. And it's happening at scale, and it's happening with a lighter touch than we've ever seen because they can hide behind social media. Hell, they can own the social media. Mm-hmm. They can own the platform. In the good old days, maybe you could own a radio station and touch enough people that were in your bandwidth. But now, forget about it. You can all over the world.
Yeah. Well, Henry Ford he bought a newspaper, you know.
Weird. Something the turn of the century makes a lot of sense. It's not like anyone today would buy a newspaper. Jeff Bezos.
No, I understand. I'm saying that he was one of the first, right? The kind of
I suspect Benjamin Franklin produced a newspaper.
Okay, right.
You
A
know,
lot of these guys.
I mean, there's nothing new under the sun.
I was gonna say, what was his
Mussolini?
Mussolini. He was a writer. Like there was a lot of these guys. They were like journalists and
nothing new under the
anybody
sun.
that you can figure out how can you influence large masses of society.
Yeah.
So
nothing new under the sun. I think the only difference now is the way that you can propagate it quickly, as you were talking about earlier about personas and things like that. How you can set up an infrastructure that touches millions of people overnight, practically. A YouTube channel, a Twitter account, or an X account, or a Facebook account, or Instagram, or TikTok, or whatever the coolest, newest thing that I don't even know is. Probably white cotton, but I don't know. Maybe something really cool. That's the influence. I think it's fascinating. If you have the motivation. You have the motivation and the means.
Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Also, if you want to get in touch with Charles, we're going to leave the link to how to get in touch with him in the description box. You can go there, click on it, check him out, check out the services that he provides. He's got multiple companies that are providing multiple things. Please go and check out that website and the links. Also, if you're interested in being a guest, we're going to leave our website, so you can go there and you can go to the Be a Guest page. You can fill out a very brief application. It does not include your social security number or date of birth, mother's maiden name, nothing that we've discussed. It's just a brief thing about your criminal history and if you're interested in being in the show. And then you can leave like a 3 to 5 minute video. We're really just checking to make sure you have teeth and you're presentable and you can speak well. So just leave that. And thank you very much. I appreciate you guys watching. See ya.